Long ago, in the heart of Europe, nestled between mighty mountains and dense forests, there arose a land whose soul seemed woven with whispers of magic. This was Romania, a place where ancient beliefs, long-forgotten gods, and strange creatures mingled with the lives of people. Here, the world was not merely what was seen, but also what was felt and feared. For the Romanians, every tree, every shadow, every gust of wind carried a presence, a spirit, and a story. Romanian folklore begins in the old villages scattered across the hills and plains, where stories passed from generation to generation around crackling fires. These were not just tales to amuse or frighten, they were lessons, warnings, and pieces of a deeper truth that bound the people to their land. In these stories, the forest was alive, the rivers sang with voices of otherworldly beings, and the mountains held secrets as old as the earth itself. Romanians believed that the world was filled with invisible threads connecting humans with these unseen forces, and so they lived with respect, caution, and awe. Some of the oldest stories come from the Dacians, the first people to live in this land. The Dacians worshipped their gods in open fields, under the sky, offering gifts to Zalmoxis, the god of life and death. To them, Zalmoxis was not just a distant god, but a wise protector, guiding the people through life's hardships. The Dacians believed that death was not an end, but a doorway to a new world, and that those who left were not truly gone. They were with the wind, in the whispers of the trees, and in the shadows of their mountains. When the Romans came and conquered the Dacians, the world of these ancient people shifted. The Romans brought their own gods, their own beliefs, but the spirits of the land did not disappear. Instead, they hid, waiting in the quiet places of forests and mountains. Over time, the stories began to blend, Roman gods merged with Dacian spirits, and new beings took shape in the minds of the people. The powerful, shape-shifting dragons known as the Drac came to life, guarding the secrets of the land, fierce yet protective. These dragons were not the monstrous terrors of other lands, but guardians, sometimes blessing those who showed courage and purity. As centuries passed, the land became a meeting place of cultures. The Slavs, with their own forest spirits and protective beings, arrived and mixed their beliefs with the old tales. From this union came creatures like the Strigoi, restless spirits that wandered between worlds, refusing to accept their place in the afterlife. Villagers believed that the Strigoi would roam, thirsty for life, knocking on windows or howling in the night, and so they guarded their homes with garlic, iron, and prayers. The Strigoi were terrifying, yet they were also mourned. People said they were souls who had been denied peace, lost between life and death, still connected to those they loved, but unable to find rest. Through every invasion, through every empire that tried to take Romania as its own, the stories lived on. When the Ottomans marched across the land, the Romanians turned to their folklore for courage. Legends of fierce warriors blessed by the Solomonari, the storm-summoning wizards, filled the hearts of the people. These Solomonari were not human, not entirely, they were chosen ones, taken away as children, trained in the secrets of the storms, able to call down lightning and rain. Some believed the Solomonari lived in hidden caves, emerging only in times of great need to defend the land. The forests of Romania have always been a place of mystery. There, villagers said, lived the eel, beautiful but dangerous maidens who danced in moonlit clearings. To see them was to invite madness, for their beauty was not meant for human eyes. They moved like shadows, their laughter like the wind, sometimes appearing as friends, but more often as foes. If a person disturbed the eel's sacred places, they would find themselves drawn into their dance, only to be left shattered, lost to the world. Yet, these spirits were not without mercy. Sometimes they would offer guidance to those they deemed worthy, but only if approached with the utmost respect and caution. And then, there was the Moroi, a spirit that lingered in the minds of the people, especially on cold winter nights. Moroi were thought to be the souls of children who had died before they were baptized, unable to find peace, wandering in sorrow. Their presence was felt rather than seen, a chill in the air, a sense of sadness that wrapped itself around the heart. In the darkest hours, mothers would light candles and say quiet prayers, hoping to bring comfort to these lost little ones. People believed that with a gentle word or a small offering, the spirits might find some comfort, at least for a night. Romanian folklore was not only about fear, but about respect and balance. The people believed that every creature, every spirit, had a role to play. Even the terrifying Balor, a multi-headed dragon, was part of this world's order. While feared for its strength and appetite for destruction, the Balor also guarded the treasures hidden within the earth. Farmers would whisper tales of the Balor to children, teaching them that some things should be left undisturbed, that greed would only awaken the wrath of powerful beings. Through all these stories, there is a deep sense of connection to the land itself. The rivers, the mountains, the forests, they were more than scenery. They were the home of spirits, protectors, and sometimes enemies. The people knew that to live in Romania was to share the land with forces that could not be seen but were always felt. Each ritual, each whispered prayer, was a way to maintain this fragile balance, to ensure that the spirits remained at peace and that humans could live without fear. Romania's stories have survived the march of time, the rise and fall of empires, and the erosion of ancient beliefs. They are the heartbeat of a land that remembers, a land that holds onto its magic even as the world around it changes. And in the quiet villages, where the old ways are still honored, the people know that the spirits of the past are still with them, whispering through the trees, resting in the shadows, watching over the land that has been there since the beginning of time. In the valleys and mountains of Romania, ancient voices still seem to call from the depths of time. When one listens closely, echoes of a people who once worshipped their own gods, whose land and sky were sacred, reveal themselves like shadows cast in the moonlight. These voices belong to the Dacians, the first guardians of the land, whose spirits were as strong as the rugged cliffs of the Carpathian Mountains. They were warriors, poets, and believers in a world where gods roamed the earth and watched over their children with fierce loyalty. The Dacians lived by honoring the forces around them. Their world was filled with gods that ruled over the realms of life and death, light and darkness. At the heart of their beliefs was Zalmoxis, a god who was both mysterious and near, who lived among them in their villages and then left, promising to return. Zalmoxis was a god who knew what it was to be human, who felt the weight of life and the mystery of death. For the Dacians, Zalmoxis was not distant, he was one of them, a guide to the afterlife, a protector in times of trouble. His presence was so real, so alive in their hearts, that they believed death was only a passing, a momentary change into another world where Zalmoxis waited. But the arrival of the Romans brought change. When the Roman Empire set its sights on the land of the Dacians, it came with all the power and might of a nation determined to conquer. The clash was fierce, but in time, the land fell under Roman rule. The Romans brought with them their own gods, deities who sat high in the heavens, looking down on the world, powerful and untouchable. There was Jupiter, the god of thunder and the king of all gods, Mars, the god of war, and Minerva, the goddess of wisdom. The Roman gods were majestic, larger-than-life figures, yet somehow distant from the hearts of the people who now inhabited this ancient land. In time, the Dacians and the Romans lived side by side, their beliefs slowly merging. The Dacians began to see shades of their own gods within the Roman pantheon. To them, Jupiter might have held echoes of their own thunderous spirits. Mars, though a god of war, also held the honor and courage that Dacian warriors prized. Even Minerva, the wise goddess, reminded them of their own traditions, their deep respect for wisdom and guidance. The stories mingled, each god taking on a new shape in the eyes of those who remembered the old ways. Soon, Romanian folklore was filled with gods who were both Roman and Dacian, powerful yet earthy, fierce yet loving. As the centuries passed, a new influence entered the land, the Slavs. They brought with them stories of forests that whispered, rivers that held secrets, and beings who lived in the shadows. The Slavic people believed in spirits who watched over fields, forests, and families. There were the domovoi, house spirits who protected homes and hearths, and the Ruzalki, water nymphs who could be both beautiful and dangerous, guardians of rivers and lakes. For the Slavs, every part of nature was alive with spirits, some friendly, some menacing, and all deserving of respect. In the eyes of the Romanians, these Slavic spirits were not strangers. They were like cousins to their own spirits of the woods and rivers, familiar yet new. The domovoi were welcomed as protectors of the home, spirits who could bring good fortune or mischief depending on how they were treated. The Rusalki, though feared for their beauty and power, were also respected, for Romanians understood the power of rivers and the pull of deep waters. These new beings found a place within the hearts of the people, taking root in stories told by grandmothers to wide-eyed children on cold winter nights. Over time, the beliefs of the Dacians, the gods of the Romans, and the spirits of the Slavs merged into a mythology that was uniquely Romanian. In the mountains, people still believed that Zalmoxis watched over them, even as they honored Roman saints and Slavic protectors. In their folklore, the dragons of Dacian legend guarded treasures alongside Slavic spirits, and the fierce warriors blessed by Zalmoxis stood alongside Roman heroes. This rich blend of beliefs meant that every shadow, every grove, every stream held a spirit or a guardian, a reminder of the many cultures that had left their mark on Romania. Romanian mythology grew into a world where a mother might light a candle to protect her child from the restless Strigoi, a creature born from both Dacian and Slavic fears. In that same world, a farmer might ask a Roman god for a good harvest, knowing that somewhere, hidden in the mountains, Zalmoxis still watched and listened. To this day, the stories hold pieces of each of these ancient cultures. Romania's tales are like a patchwork quilt, stitched together with fragments of Dacian courage, Roman grandeur, and Slavic mystery. This blend creates a land where dragons guard the mountains, house spirits protect families, and old gods walk silently through the forests, still watching over the people who remember their names. In the land of Romania, stories are like ancient threads, weaving their way through generations. In each tale lies the pulse of the land, the hopes and fears of the people, and above all, the mysteries that shape their lives. Each story carries themes of protection, curses, transformation, and fate, drawing listeners into a world where the lines between light and shadow blur, where danger walks beside mercy, and where every moment holds the weight of destiny. Protection is one of the strongest threads that runs through Romanian folklore. The people believed their world was filled with unseen dangers, spirits that lurked in the forests, creatures that haunted rivers, and eyes that watched from the mountains. To protect themselves, they turned to the spirits who guarded their homes, fields, and loved ones. These guardians could take many forms: a house spirit watching over a family, a dragon fiercely guarding a village, or a charm worn around the neck to ward off evil. In Romanian tales, protection is more than safety, it is a promise. It is the unseen hand that shields a child from the cold, the blessing whispered in the wind. And just as fiercely, the people would protect each other, sharing stories and secrets that bound them to one another and to the spirits who watched over them. But even in this world of guardians, curses hang like dark clouds, reminders of the power and wrath that come when a line is crossed. Romanian folklore is filled with curses, each carrying a weight that goes beyond simple words. A curse was not a fleeting anger, it was a mark, a binding sentence that could twist a person's life, bring ruin to a family, or taint a land for generations. To curse someone was to reach into their very soul, to take something precious from them, leaving them with a wound that might never heal. Some curses were cast by betrayed lovers, others by broken-hearted parents, and a few by the spirits themselves, punishing those who dared to disrespect their sacred places. And so, people learned caution. They knew that the forest held not only shelter but also judgment, and that the rivers, though giving life, could also steal it away. In this land of curses and blessings, transformation was not just a change, but a story, a journey of becoming something else. The people of Romania saw life itself as a cycle of transformations, from birth to death and beyond, each step marked by moments of change, of shedding one skin and taking on another. Some of the most powerful stories are those of beings who change from human to animal, or from spirit to shadow. The Praekalasai, fierce werewolves, were not monsters by choice, but by fate. Once humans, they became wolves under the light of the full moon, wandering the night with a hunger they could never satisfy. To the villagers, these transformations were not just tales of horror, but of sadness, of souls caught between worlds, forced to walk a lonely road. The forest was a place of transformation too. In the shade of ancient trees, girls who wandered too far might encounter the eel, the mysterious maidens who lured travelers into their circle. These maidens were not simply beautiful, they were beauty itself, deadly and impossible. To dance with the eel was to lose yourself, to be pulled into a world where time slipped away, and where the heart was forever changed. Those who returned were never the same, they were marked, bearing the weight of a world that only a few dared to see. Transformation in Romanian tales is both a gift and a curse, a force that can bring strength or sorrow, love or loss. At the heart of all these tales lies fate, that invisible hand that guides every life. Fate was not something that could be fought or changed, it was woven into the very fabric of the world, an ancient path that each person had to walk. Romanian folklore speaks often of Ursator, the fate-weaving spirits who came to every child's cradle, whispering their destinies into the night. People believed that from the moment of birth, their lives were written, that each step, each joy, and each sorrow was already known. To live was to walk this path, to accept each twist and turn, and to find strength in knowing that they were not alone. For every curse, there was a blessing, for every sorrow, a promise of peace. In Romania's stories, protection, curses, transformation, and fate are like the four winds that shape the land. They are the heartbeat of a people who know that life is not simply light and shadow, but a dance between the two, a dance as ancient as the mountains, as fierce as the storms, and as gentle as a mother's lullaby in the dark. In the quiet villages of rural Romania, life was never only what met the eye. The earth beneath each step, the stars above, even the gentle evening wind carried mysteries. To live in these villages was to share your world with spirits and unseen forces, to know that protection, guidance, and danger waited in places you couldn't see. For the villagers, these beliefs were not stories told to pass the time but truths woven into the fabric of daily life, shaping each decision, each whisper, each moment of silence under a starlit sky. Every morning began with respect. As the sun rose, villagers would speak quiet blessings, asking for the favor of their ancestors and the spirits who guarded their homes. Many believed that their houses were watched over by a spirit, a gentle stranger who kept away sickness and bad fortune. These spirits were given small offerings, bread left on the table, flowers hung by the door, reminders that they were welcomed, loved, and needed. To ignore these protectors was to invite misfortune, a lesson passed down in hushed voices and cautionary tales, told by mothers and grandmothers with eyes that had seen too much. But not every spirit was kind. The forests that surrounded these villages held secrets, shadows that whispered warnings. The villagers knew not to wander too far after dusk, for the woods were the home of the eel. These mysterious maidens were beautiful beyond words, their laughter like bells in the night. They could charm anyone who stumbled upon them, luring them into their midnight dances, only to leave them empty, forever haunted. Stories of young men who disappeared for days, returning with hollow eyes and silent tongues, were enough to keep most people near the firelight as the sky darkened. And then there were the moroi and strigoi, restless spirits who roamed when the sun dipped below the horizon. The moroi were the souls of those who died before their time, still yearning for the life that was taken from them. The Strigoi, however, were feared above all. They were believed to be the spirits of those who had died bearing anger, bitterness, or jealousy, emotions that chained them to the world of the living. Villagers believed that Strigoi would return to visit their loved ones or haunt their enemies, and so they took great care to protect themselves. Garlic was hung by doorways, prayers were whispered, and iron nails were placed under pillows to keep these spirits at bay. It was a battle between love and fear, a struggle to protect those still living while honoring the souls of the restless. Every important event, from births to weddings to funerals, was touched by the supernatural. When a child was born, 3 Ursator spirits were said to visit the cradle, weaving the baby's fate with silken threads of destiny. Parents would leave gifts by the cradle, flowers, sweets, silver coins, hoping to win the favor of these fate spinners, praying for a life of health and happiness for their child. The Ursator's visit was both a blessing and a reminder that life was a path already partially walked, with twists and turns unknown to anyone but the spirits. Death, too, was not an end but a beginning. The villagers believed that when a person passed, their soul lingered, watching over their loved ones or finding its way to the afterlife. For this reason, funerals were filled with rituals meant to help guide the spirit, to keep it from wandering in sorrow. Water was poured on the ground, symbolizing the soul's journey, and candles were lit to light the way. These practices were acts of love, born from the desire to bring peace to those who had left and to shield the living from the sadness of a spirit unable to find rest. Protection rituals were woven into every aspect of life. At harvest time, farmers would say blessings over their fields, believing that spirits guarded their crops, that each stalk of grain carried a spark of life gifted by the earth itself. Farmers would sometimes bury charms in the soil, small tokens to keep away blight and to thank the land for its bounty. Even in something as simple as baking bread, women would draw crosses in the dough, whispering blessings as they kneaded, ensuring that the bread would nourish and protect those who ate it. At night, when the village was quiet, and the only sounds were the rustling of trees and the distant howl of a wolf, families gathered around the hearth, telling stories that bound them to each other and to the spirits watching over them. They would speak of ancestors who still visited in dreams, of warnings given by animals that seemed to carry messages from another world. A flickering candle was enough to remind them of the fragility of life, of the thin line between this world and the next. In these villages, belief was a bond, a shared understanding that life was filled with more than what one could see. It was a world where every action, every spoken word, held power, and where love, fear, and respect were woven into a delicate dance with the unknown. In the stillness of Romanian nights, when the world quiets and the shadows lengthen, stories of the restless dead come alive. These tales are filled with whispered fears and shuddering sighs, because among all spirits, the Strigoi are the most feared. These spirits are not merely souls passing through, but beings caught between worlds, cursed to wander, to hunger, to haunt. For centuries, villagers have believed that Strigoi are those who have left this world with unresolved bitterness, jealousy, or anger, a darkness that clings to them beyond death, refusing to let go. There are those who say the Strigoi return from the grave, desperate to reclaim what was lost to them in life. Some are believed to have been ordinary people, but their souls grew restless due to unfinished business, unspoken words, or a grudge left festering. The Strigoi are bound by these lingering emotions, unable to find peace. In the dim light of dusk, villagers would speak of loved ones who turned, souls who came back because they couldn't bear to leave a life they cherished or a vengeance they'd craved. And so, these spirits would rise, returning to their families and homes, seeking something that only they could feel, a haunting emptiness that pushed them to wander the world of the living. But not all Strigoi are the same, and not all are born from simple longing. There are Strigoi 7, the living Strigoi, those who bear the mark of the spirit before death. These people are often shunned, for the villagers believe that the restlessness of their soul is already visible. Born under unlucky stars or in cursed places, they carry the weight of a shadowed fate. Such people often lead isolated lives, watched with suspicion, as if their very presence brings a cold chill to the air. The villagers fear that upon death, these living Strigoi will rise, cursed to roam as creatures of the night, feeding on the vitality of others to soothe the darkness within them. Then, there are the Strigoi Morti, the dead Strigoi who return from the grave with an insatiable hunger. These spirits are thought to rise from those who were denied a proper burial or who passed away under tragic or violent circumstances. It's said that these Strigoi Morti, filled with a twisted hunger, creep out of their graves at night, desperate to reclaim a life they can no longer have. They wander through villages, visiting the homes of loved ones or haunting those they held grudges against in life. Villagers believe that the Strigoi Morti can steal a person's vitality, drawing life force from the living to ease the aching void within them. And so, the people leave out offerings to appease these souls, small gifts of bread or wine, hoping to keep the restless ones at bay. Romanian folklore speaks of rituals designed to protect against the Strigoi's return. When a villager suspects that a loved one has risen as Strigoi, they take precautions, placing garlic by the doors and windows to ward off the dead. Graves are often dug with care, and coins are placed on the eyes of the deceased, so they can pay for their journey into the afterlife and find peace rather than return to haunt the living. In extreme cases, the villagers may turn to desperate measures, digging up the graves of suspected Strigoi to perform rituals that will keep the spirit bound, ensuring it cannot escape to roam. There are tales, too, of a more sinister kind, the ones that speak of the Strigoi as vampires, cursed to drink blood in a twisted attempt to cling to the life they lost. These vampire Strigoi are said to be the most dangerous, driven by a thirst that can never be quenched. Villagers tell of nights when they hear soft footsteps outside their doors, a gentle scratching, as if someone is trying to come inside. Some believe these creatures visit their loved ones, drawn to the warmth of family bonds they can no longer feel, hoping that a taste of blood might let them remember, if only for a fleeting moment, what it means to be alive. In the face of these terrors, the people of Romanian villages hold tight to their traditions and practices. Garlic is hung by windows and doorways, thought to repel the Strigoi, its pungent scent a barrier that no spirit can cross. Some homes keep iron nails hidden under pillows, believed to prevent the dead from finding their way inside. And on nights when the full moon rises, villagers gather together, staying close to the light, because it's said that darkness feeds the hunger of the Strigoi, granting them strength. Romanian folklore has no shortage of tales recounting encounters with these restless spirits. Each tale reminds villagers of the thin line between the living and the dead, a line that Strigoi can cross. The stories, passed from generation to generation, warn of what happens when bitterness clings too tightly to a soul, or when a spirit cannot let go of its earthly desires. In this world, death is not always a gentle passing but a door that some spirits refuse to cross, remaining behind, bound by emotions that drive them to wander in a world where they no longer belong. Through these stories, the people remember and respect the mysteries of life and death, and with every whispered warning, they keep alive the ancient wisdom of protection against the restless souls who might one day come knocking. In the quiet, hidden hours of the night, a chill slips through Romanian villages as if 1,000 whispers fill the darkness. The people know these whispers; they are the voices of the moroi, spirits of children who never received their first blessing. Unbaptized, their tiny souls are said to wander, searching, yearning, left incomplete in a world that has passed them by. The stories of the moroi have a sadness that lingers long after the tale is told. There is a longing in each spirit, a flicker of life unfulfilled, and the villagers speak of them with a mix of sorrow and fear, hoping the quiet prayers they offer will bring these lost souls peace. Some say that the moroi are born from the restless spirits of infants who never felt the sacred touch of holy water, who passed from this world before they had a chance to be fully welcomed into it. Without baptism, their spirits are believed to wander, lost and searching, caught between two worlds, neither fully of the living nor of the dead. These moroi drift through the night, invisible but felt, like a soft presence that tugs at the heart. Villagers know that to hear the cry of a moroi in the darkness is to feel the ache of a life that never truly began, an emptiness that cannot be filled. The people believe that the moroi, bound to their pain, are unable to let go of the living world. They seek out their families, watching from the shadows with hollow eyes, yearning for the warmth and love they were denied. There are stories of mothers who, in the dead of night, feel a soft touch on their hand or hear a faint, fleeting cry near their ear. The moroi are believed to call out to their parents, a sad echo in the dark, a voice carried by the night wind. Some mothers whisper back, a comforting word or a blessing, hoping to soothe the spirit of a child they can no longer hold. But not all moroi are gentle. Some carry the darkness of the anger and sorrow that took them too soon. They are said to be vengeful, unable to accept the life denied to them, and they return not only to haunt but to take back what they feel was stolen. These moroi are whispered about with fear. Villagers say that their shadows cast no warmth, that they bring an icy chill wherever they wander. To encounter one of these moroi is to feel the weight of all the sadness and anger that fills them, a spirit driven by a pain that has no end. In some stories, these restless spirits roam the countryside, moving from village to village, searching for those who can help them cross over. A few villagers claim to have seen them, faint shapes moving in the mist, with hollow eyes and tiny, reaching hands. There are tales of children who feel the presence of a moroi nearby, a chill that brushes against their skin, as if touched by a small hand that never got to hold another. The villagers tell their own children to stay inside at night, to keep their beds close to the warmth of the fire, for they fear the Moroi's touch can steal the life of another child, pulling them into the shadows as a brother or sister to accompany them. The people of these villages have learned to protect themselves from the sorrow of these spirits. Charms are crafted with care, filled with blessings, and tied with pieces of red thread to ward off the Moroi. Prayers are whispered into the evening wind, gentle words meant to guide the spirits to peace. Some mothers tuck little crosses beneath their children's pillows, hoping that the symbols will guard against the touch of a wandering Moroi. And, in extreme cases, when the presence of a Moroi seems too strong to ignore, a priest is called to bless the home, to speak to the spirit and offer the baptism they never received, hoping to guide them to the peace they long for. Despite the fear, there is a compassion among the villagers for the Moroi, a quiet grief for those little lives that were lost too soon. They are remembered in prayers, in the candlelight that flickers in windows on quiet nights, and in the stories shared by families. In every story, there is a plea for peace, a hope that the wandering spirits might find their way to rest, to leave behind the pain that binds them to this world. The Moroi are a haunting reminder of lives that could have been, of futures that vanished before they began, and of the yearning that lingers in every spirit left incomplete. Under the silver light of a full moon, when shadows soften and the world holds its breath, the forests of Romania awaken with a quiet magic. Here, among the trees and hidden glades, whispers tell of the eel, beings as beautiful as they are deadly, spirits who emerge from the darkness to dance beneath the stars. The air thickens with an energy, a subtle pull that seems to hum through the trees, as if they, too, are under a spell. No one dares disturb this strange and haunting ritual, for the eel are not of this world, they are spirits as ancient as the earth itself, creatures of mystery who enchant and destroy with equal ease. These nymphs are said to be breathtaking, with beauty so intense it could break a person's will. Their skin gleams in the moonlight, and their hair flows like rivers of night, drawing the eyes and, soon after, the heart of any who see them. Villagers speak of these forest spirits in hushed tones, warning that to catch even a glimpse of the eel in their moonlit revelry is to risk one's very soul. Once seen, they say, their spell binds a person forever, pulling them into a world of beauty so consuming that it swallows all else. Men who have wandered too far into the woods speak of hearing laughter, like the soft notes of a distant song, and seeing faint figures dancing between the trees. And those who have returned, if they return at all, are often haunted, as if a piece of their spirit was left behind. The eel are known to move with an eerie grace, their dance so mesmerizing it feels as though the world itself is drawn into their rhythm. But beneath the beauty lies danger, for their grace can turn to wrath in an instant. The legends tell of how the eel delight in drawing people close, entrancing them with sweet songs that make their minds go hazy and their senses abandon them. It's said that those who watch too long, who linger in the shadow of their dance, are cursed to dance themselves, spinning wildly until they collapse, broken and unable to escape the hold of the spell. They are left to wander, forever under the weight of that haunting song, a prisoner to a beauty that claimed too much. The villagers know to stay far from certain groves on nights when the moon is high. Children are told stories of men who did not heed the warnings, who strayed into forbidden places, their footsteps falling silent as the night closed in around them. They tell of how these men, drawn by the haunting calls of the eel, vanished, their bodies later found in the forest with strange marks upon them, as if the eel had danced them to exhaustion and left them to rest forever. The eel's anger is feared as much as their allure. It's said that anyone who disturbs their ritual is met with a curse, a sickness of the heart and mind, a madness that no healer can cure. In villages, precautions are taken, and offerings are left at the edge of the woods to appease the eel. Flowers, honey, and herbs are left as tokens, gentle requests for peace and protection, offerings meant to keep the villagers safe from the nymph's enchanting rage. For the eel are spirits with moods as wild as the forests they inhabit. One night, they may bless those who leave offerings with good fortune and health, but the next, they may be filled with a quiet fury, a bitterness against anyone who dares encroach upon their domain. Their anger is swift and unyielding, and there are many tales of those who dared to enter their groves, never to be seen again. The eel are believed to guard the mysteries of the forest, the hidden magic that flows through roots and streams. They are bound to the land, as much a part of the wilderness as the trees and rivers. In springtime, when the flowers bloom, villagers claim to see the traces of the eels dance, circles of grass where the flowers grow in strange, beautiful patterns. These are known as eel circles, marks left behind by their moonlit gatherings. To step into one is considered dangerous, a reckless act that may bring the eel's curse upon you, for these circles are sacred, places touched by the spirit's ancient magic. It is said that the eel can be merciful, but only if shown respect and humility. Those who stumble upon their dance by accident and quickly look away, those who whisper a prayer and avert their gaze, are sometimes spared. But to look too long, to seek the eel's beauty without fear, is to invite disaster. For the eel's dance is not meant for human eyes, their song not for human ears. They guard their secrets jealously, and any who overstep are lost, claimed by the wild magic that holds them. Every so often, a wanderer will claim to have seen them, describing the way their laughter seemed to drift through the trees, their voices like a song that pulled at the very heart. The villagers listen to these stories with wary awe, knowing that the eel are not just spirits of the forest, but echoes of a force beyond understanding, one that calls from the shadows and binds those who stray too close. And as they sit by their fires at night, the villagers tell their children to heed the tales, to remember the warning held in every whispered story, for the eel are not just creatures of myth, but guardians of a beauty that can take as easily as it gives. When the stars glitter across the velvet skies of Romanian nights, stories whisper through the quiet village streets of a phantom lover, the Zmeu. His name stirs both wonder and fear, a spirit of love and longing, a being who appears as a flicker of fire, slipping through windows and hovering by moonlit bedsides. Young women speak of him in hushed tones, for he is no ordinary spirit, he's a lover who visits only in dreams, bringing with him a passion so fierce it leaves hearts aching and sleepless. The Zmeu is not a phantom of cold, unfeeling shadows. He is warm, burning with a heat that pulses like embers beneath the skin, leaving traces of desire that linger long after he has vanished. Villagers say he arrives in the silence, a figure of swirling flames, his gaze as intense as fire, his touch light as a whisper. In those moments, he binds himself to the hearts of those who dream, filling their nights with visions of romance that seem as real as the daylight. Some women wake with flushed cheeks and racing hearts, feeling as if they've truly been touched by love, yet no one stands beside them. There's a sadness in his visits, for the Zmeu only comes to those trapped by forbidden desires, to those whose hearts yearn for what cannot be. He senses their longing, their unspoken wishes and hidden dreams, and he answers them with a touch of the otherworldly. His presence is a comfort and a torment, a love that both soothes and scars. The villagers speak of the way he enters as a spark, a tiny ember slipping through cracks in the walls, growing brighter and more beautiful until he stands there, a figure cloaked in flame yet soft and tender, more beautiful than any human heart can bear. Many women, touched by his presence, become haunted by dreams too vivid to forget. By day, they wander as if spellbound, as if half their soul remains with the Zmeu in a place beyond reach. Their eyes carry a sadness, a look of someone who has loved deeply yet knows they cannot have what they desire. Villagers notice the change in these women, the way they glance at the horizon, waiting, hoping for another glimpse, another visit. But the Zmeu is a spirit who cannot be tamed, a lover who exists only in the night, leaving with the first light of dawn, his fiery touch fading as morning arrives. In some tales, he comes to women whose families have arranged marriages they do not want, or to those who long for a love that defies tradition. The Zmeu brings them a taste of what they crave, a love free from boundaries, a romance that knows no rules. But he is a ghost of passion, and when he leaves, he takes with him a part of their hearts, a part that can never be replaced. Mothers warn their daughters about him, telling them to guard their dreams, to protect their hearts from a love that cannot last. But desire does not listen to warnings, and the Zmeu returns, called by the longing in the air, by the ache of unfulfilled love. Some say he is a restless spirit, born of a young man who died with love still in his heart, love that was denied him in life. Now he roams, a flicker of that old passion, searching for someone who can share his fire, even if only for a night. His visits are bittersweet, he leaves his mark, an invisible scar, a reminder of a love that blazes like fire but fades with the dawn. Yet no one can resist his pull. Even the thought of him, the idea that a spirit could love with such intensity, even beyond the grave, is enough to draw anyone under his spell. For some, the Zmeu visit is more than a dream. It becomes a curse, a longing that consumes them from within, making ordinary life feel dull and empty. The warmth of his embrace, the tender whispers in the dark, leave them yearning for nights that pass too quickly. They feel hollow, as if the Zmeu has stolen a piece of their heart, leaving them forever changed. They may marry, live, and grow old, but a part of them will always belong to him, to the phantom who showed them love and then vanished like a dying ember. In the heart of the village, people speak of the Zmeu with reverence, a mix of awe and caution. They know he is more than just a ghost. He is the embodiment of desire, a spirit who answers the call of those whose hearts have no other outlet. And so, each night, when the fires are put out and silence falls, they wonder if he will visit, slipping through the quiet, bringing with him a love that no earthly hand can offer. His story lives on in every woman who feels the ache of love denied, and every heart that longs for something more than the world can give. The Zmeu is more than a legend. He is the very pulse of forbidden love, of longing that knows no boundaries. In his flame lies a passion that transcends life and death, a reminder that love, once sparked, can never truly die. In the wild mountains of Romania, when the sky darkens with thick, whirling clouds, and the first rumbles of thunder shake the earth, whispers run through the villages, the Solomonari are at work. These mysterious wizards, figures as feared as they are respected, are believed to wield power over storms and command the raw force of nature. Tall and cloaked in shadows, they live hidden from the world, reclusive and enigmatic, only appearing when the wind begins to howl and the skies turn an ominous shade of gray. Villagers tell stories of how, in the heart of the storm, the Solomonari ride dragons through the sky, their voices mingling with the thunder as they call down lightning with a single, outstretched hand. They are the ones who summon rain and hail, bending storms to their will, sometimes sending them crashing upon villages as punishment or sparing a humble farm after seeing a family's desperate prayers. These are not men of flesh alone, but figures that belong to the mountains, to the sky and the wind. Children grow up hearing tales of their power, the way they ride unseen, bending nature to their command with nothing but sheer will and ancient knowledge. It is said that only a few chosen ones can ever become Solomonari, that they are not born but made. Some say a Solomona must first undergo years of training in secluded, secret caves, where they learn to commune with the elements, to hear the hidden language of the earth. Others believe they are marked from birth, fated to become masters of storms, their souls bound to nature's fury. It is no small fate to be a Solomoner, for their lives are lonely and steeped in mystery, existing always on the edge of society, bound to forces that no human hand should touch. When a Solomoner appears, the villagers know to step back and let him pass, his gaze sharp and distant, a man not of their world. Those who have glimpsed a Solomoner speak of eyes that hold storms within them, a gaze that can pierce through the human soul. His robes, often tattered from years spent wandering the mountains and forests, swirl around him as if moved by an unseen wind. The people know to show respect, to offer a bow or a nod, for to offend a Solomoner is to risk calling a storm upon one's head, a punishment only he can conjure and only he can control. These wizards are not evil, but they are not gentle either. A Solomoner does not harm without cause, yet he does not hesitate to unleash his wrath if he feels he has been wronged. There are stories of farmers who, out of arrogance, laughed at a passing Solomoner or refused him shelter during a stormy night, only to wake to their fields ravaged by hail the next morning. Crops crushed, barns splintered, all the work of a Solomoner's power, a warning to all who might doubt his abilities. Yet, to those who treat him with respect, he is sometimes merciful, bringing rain in times of drought, steering the worst of the storms away from the fields and livestock. It is said that the Solomonari are rarely seen in the same place twice, moving like shadows through villages, always with a quiet and haunting purpose. Some say they are searching for apprentices, others claim they wander to strengthen their connection with the mountains and skies. But no one truly knows why a Solomoner appears, nor when he will come or go. Their presence is a mystery, a force of nature that cannot be predicted or controlled. Only the storm itself knows the path of a Solomoner, and by the time the thunder fades and the clouds disperse, he is gone, leaving only the memory of his presence behind. On nights when the sky grows fierce, the villagers sit by their fires, watching the lightning flash in the distance, knowing that somewhere, high above, a Solomoner is calling down the storm. There's a thrill and a chill in their hearts as they picture him, a figure wrapped in power, the master of forces they cannot even begin to comprehend. They murmur prayers that he will spare their homes, that he will take his fury elsewhere, and they offer a quiet respect to the invisible hand that guides the storm's path. The Solomonari are more than men, they are legends that live and breathe, the very embodiment of nature's power. They remind the world of the strength hidden in the mountains, of the winds that carve valleys and the rains that nourish and destroy. To see a Solomoner is to witness the storm itself in human form, a figure whose heart beats with the thunder and whose breath rises with the mist on the mountains. They are beings who live on the edge of two worlds, keepers of the old knowledge, guardians of the land's ancient power. And so, when the storm rolls in, with its first crack of lightning and its endless rumble of thunder, the people remember the Solomonari, those strange, silent wizards who walk with the storm and command its fury. They listen for his voice in the howling wind, and as they watch the sky light up with flashes of fierce and unearthly beauty, they feel a touch of awe for the one who holds that power, a man as elusive as the storm itself, forever bound to the wild heart of the mountains. When the night falls over the Carpathian Mountains and the stars cast their watchful gaze over the valleys, tales of the Drac, the ancient dragons of Romania, fill the hearts of villagers with both fear and reverence. These dragons are not creatures of mindless fire and rage, nor beasts to be recklessly hunted. They are guardians, protectors of treasures hidden deep within the earth, spirits bound to the land, and keepers of secrets as old as the mountains themselves. To speak of the Drac is to speak of a silent power that rests in the bones of Romania. These dragons are not born of chaos, but of the earth's own spirit, as if the land itself breathed life into them. They lie coiled beneath ancient hills, their bodies as dark as the caves that shelter them, eyes flickering with a knowing light. It is said that those who are blessed to see a Drac glimpse not only a creature of immense power, but a piece of the very soul of the land. A Drac doesn't merely guard treasures of gold and silver, it guards the lifeblood of the land, its magic, its ancient promise. People tell stories of travelers who stumble upon a Drac's treasure. They describe a pulsing warmth in the earth, a sense that they're standing on something sacred. Some say the treasure glows softly under moonlight, calling out to anyone who dares approach. But every tale warns of the cost. Approach a Drac's lair unbidden, and you risk more than your life. For the Drac are fiercely protective, watching over treasures passed down through centuries, treasures they see not as riches but as memories, symbols of the land's strength and endurance. These dragons are wise, sharp-eyed, and ever watchful. They do not breathe fire, but something colder, something that chills to the bone, a warning that they are not to be disturbed. Many villagers believe that each Drac forms a silent pact with the land it guards, that it listens to the mountains, the rivers, and the forests, knowing when they are in danger. When storms threaten the valleys or outsiders seek to pillage the land, the Drac stirs, moving silently beneath the ground, ready to protect what has been entrusted to it. Yet, the Drac is not merely a creature of wrath, it is a creature bound by duty and loyalty. Stories speak of those rare moments when a Drac shows kindness, offering its blessing to someone who has honored the land, someone whose heart is pure. There are tales of humble shepherds who, when lost in the mountains, found shelter and safety through the Drac's protection, waking to find themselves safely returned to the edge of the forest, a subtle mark of dragon scales left upon the path as if to guide them. The villagers know to respect the Drac, to leave offerings by the mountain's edge, simple tokens like bread, salt, or a few coins, gestures of gratitude for the protection the dragons provide. It's an unspoken pact, one upheld by generations who understand the delicate balance between the human world and the world of these ancient guardians. The offerings are small, yet they carry great meaning, a symbol of respect for the creatures that have watched over their valleys and fields for centuries. Legends speak of times when the Drac emerged from their caves, drawn to defend the land itself from those who mean it harm. In these tales, they rise as shadows against the sky, great winged forms darkening the clouds, their movements as silent as the stars. Their eyes glow with a light not of fire, but of something deeper, something almost tender, a fierce love for the land they are sworn to protect. The Drac do not seek out battles, but they are relentless when their home is threatened, showing no mercy to those who disrespect the ancient pacts. Those who encounter a Drac often carry its memory for life, a mark left upon their spirit as if they've touched something beyond human understanding. They speak of the dragon's gaze as something that reaches into the soul, as if it sees not only the person before it, but the person's very intentions, their respect for the land, or lack of it. It is said that if a Drac senses true reverence, it may let its guard down, just for a moment, allowing the human to witness its treasures without harm. But that moment is rare, a blessing only few are granted, a gift to those whose hearts beat in rhythm with the mountains. Villagers believe that the Drac are not merely dragons, but spirits of the land itself, that their scales are flecked with the minerals of the mountains, their eyes with the glow of ancient fire trapped within the earth. To see one is to see the history of the land, its strength, and its timeless wisdom. These creatures are more than protectors, they are symbols of resilience, reminders that the land holds memories older than any village, older than any human story. For the people of Romania, the Drac is not simply a myth, it is a reminder of a bond they share with the land, a bond that cannot be broken. The presence of the Drac is woven into their lives, a quiet, enduring promise that as long as the mountains stand, as long as rivers flow, there will be guardians watching over them. And so, as the stars light up the mountain skies each night, the villagers feel a silent gratitude, a wordless respect for the ancient guardians sleeping beneath their feet, those dragons whose hearts beat with the very pulse of Romania. In the shadowed forests and jagged mountains of Romania, there's a creature that lives in the darkest corners of ancient legends, a creature spoken of only in hushed tones. This is the Balor, a multi-headed dragon born not as a guardian but as a terror, a creature of chaos and destruction that holds the power to unsettle even the bravest hearts. Unlike the Drac, who stands watch as a silent protector, the Balor embodies fear itself, a being whose presence sends shivers through the land. The Balor is no ordinary dragon. With 2, 3, or even 7 heads, it is a monster of unimaginable strength, each head moving independently, each with a mouth filled with sharp, jagged teeth and a thirst for dominance. Its eyes burn with a fierce, malevolent glow, and when it moves, the earth trembles beneath it. Villagers say that its breath is fire and poison, that even the air around it feels heavy, filled with the scent of scorched earth and despair. Stories tell of how the Balor emerges without warning, wreaking havoc upon entire villages, its many heads lashing out, its fury uncontainable. To meet a Balor is to face a force that knows no mercy. Unlike the Drac, who has a sense of duty and a bond with the land, the Balor seeks only to dominate and consume. It doesn't watch over treasure to protect it, but to keep it from others, hoarding its spoils in dark caves littered with bones and the remnants of past victims. Its cave is no sanctuary, it is a place of fear, a place where even the light struggles to survive. Among the legends, one story stands out, a tale told by grandmothers to keep children from wandering too far into the forest. It's the tale of the hero who faced the 7-headed Balor to save his village. The hero was no ordinary man, but a farmer's son, a young man who had seen the Balor's destruction and couldn't bear the thought of losing his family. Armed with nothing but a sword and his wits, he set out to confront the creature, knowing he might never return. When he entered the Balor's lair, the beast's eyes locked onto him, each head poised, waiting to strike. The battle that followed was brutal, every head snapping and thrashing, trying to tear him apart. But the hero fought with all his strength, outsmarting the beast, striking each head down one by one until the final blow silenced its terrible roar. But the Balor is not easily defeated, and tales say it always returns, reborn from the depths of the earth, its heads more vicious, its hatred for humankind even greater. Some say that the Balor is not just a creature but a curse, a reminder of a darker time when chaos reigned. It's a reminder that while heroes may triumph, darkness is never truly gone, lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for its moment. In many stories, the Balor appears at the edge of villages, stalking the boundaries between the human world and the unknown. The villagers know to leave offerings, scraps of food or trinkets, hoping to appease the beast, to keep it from crossing into their homes. They believe that these small gestures may keep the Balor satisfied, sparing them from its fury, if only for a little while. But they also know that the Balor's hunger is endless, that it cannot be truly tamed or reasoned with, for it exists only to remind them of the fragile line between safety and terror. While the Drac inspires reverence and respect, the Balor brings only fear and caution. The Drac is tied to the land, watching over it as a protector. The Balor, however, is a creature of pure instinct and malice, tied not to the land, but to the darkest corners of the human heart, where fear and anger reside. It is a force of nature that cannot be understood or befriended, a creature that belongs to the shadows and brings nightmares to life. Even now, in the modern age, the Balor lives on in the minds of those who hear its story. It may not wander the streets or shake the earth with its steps, but it lives in every story passed down, and every dark place that seems to hold an unseen presence. When thunder echoes through the mountains or shadows stretch long in the fading light, villagers still think of the Balor, whispering prayers that it stays asleep, that the old terror remains only a tale and not a reality. In Romania, the Balor isn't just a monster. It is a symbol of the darkness that exists in every world and every heart, a darkness that can be battled but never fully conquered. And in the hearts of those who know its story, the Balor remains a haunting presence, a reminder of the power of fear and the bravery it takes to stand against it. In the deepest shadows of Romania's earth, far below the bustling villages and the sunlit fields, lies a world of darkness and silence. In these caverns, among the gleaming veins of silver and gold, miners once feared an unseen presence, a spirit as ancient as the rocks themselves, the Valva Baler. To those who spent their lives chipping away in the mines, the Valva Baler wasn't merely a tale, it was a force that ruled the subterranean realm, an entity as elusive as it was powerful, and its gaze felt as heavy as the mountain above. The Valva Baler was known to guard the precious minerals and treasures that lay hidden in the earth. To disturb these treasures was to summon her fury, a punishment more frightening than the darkest corners of the mine itself. Miners spoke of her in whispers, believing her spirit drifted silently through the tunnels, watching and waiting. Some claimed they saw her flickering light, a faint, eerie glow that appeared at the end of dark passageways. If a miner grew too greedy or careless, the Valva's light would vanish, and darkness would close in, sealing the unfortunate soul in the silent, endless shadows. Many believed the Valva Baler was neither entirely evil nor kind. She was as mysterious as the earth itself, sometimes guiding lost miners back to safety, but only if they had shown humility. She was said to be the guardian of the hidden wealth, a presence born from the minerals and rock. The Valva's form was often described as a pale, ghostly figure with eyes that gleamed like the richest gold, a protector both beautiful and fearsome. Some said she wore a cloak of shimmering minerals, her presence illuminating the dark passageways with a strange, unearthly glow that hinted at the beauty of the hidden vein she guarded. One story, passed down through generations, tells of a miner named Nikolai, a humble and honest man known for his unwavering respect for the earth. One evening, he was alone, deep within the mine, chipping away in the faint lamplight. Suddenly, his pick struck something soft, and before him, the wall gave way to a vein of gold brighter and richer than anything he had ever seen. But as his heart raced with excitement, he felt a chill ripple through the air. The glow of his lamp dimmed, and in the flickering shadows, he saw her, the Valva Baler, her eyes glistening with a warning. Nikolai dropped to his knees, murmuring words of respect, refusing to touch even a speck of the gold he had unearthed. The Valva gazed at him, and with a silent nod, she vanished into the shadows. Nikolai returned home that night, unharmed, but forever changed, having glimpsed the guardian of the earth's deepest secrets. But others were not so lucky. Stories also speak of those driven by greed, miners who ignored the warnings and took what was not theirs. One tale speaks of Petre, a young man who heard the legends but dismissed them as foolish fears. One day, he discovered a glittering vein of silver, and without a thought for the Valva Baler, he filled his sack with all he could carry. But as he turned to leave, the wall seemed to close in around him. He tried to run, but his lamp went out, and he was left alone in the pitch-black silence. For days, the villagers searched, but Petri was never seen again. The only trace left was his empty sack, lying by the mine's entrance, as if a reminder from the Valva herself. The Valva Baler's legend grew not from stories of malice, but from the understanding that some forces are not meant to be disturbed. Her spirit reminded the miners of humility, of the respect due to the earth that gave them its treasures. When miners entered the depths, they offered her small tokens, pieces of bread, drops of wine, hoping to earn her favor or at least her silence. They believed that these small gestures kept her wrath at bay, acknowledging her guardianship over the wealth hidden beneath. To those who worked the mines, the Valva Baler was not a mere superstition. She was as real as the stone beneath their feet, her presence as heavy as the weight of the earth above. Her spirit lived in the darkness, a silent witness to every chisel strike and every whispered prayer. Miners spoke to her as they worked, offering her respect, knowing that each strike of the pick was an intrusion into her world. And when a glimmer of silver or gold appeared, they paused, aware that they were in the presence of something sacred, something watched over by a guardian who would not tolerate greed or disrespect. The Valva Baler remains a part of Romania's stories, a guardian who still haunts the forgotten caves and abandoned mines. She is the reminder of a bond between the earth and those who dare to touch its heart, a spirit that watches over what lies hidden, her presence lingering in the shadows, ensuring that the treasures of the underground are respected and protected from those who would claim them without gratitude. In the silence of the dark tunnels, she waits, a timeless force that knows every miner's heartbeat, every step, and every thought. Her legend endures, a haunting memory of the spirit who guards the ancient veins of gold and silver, and of the respect owed to her silent, watchful eyes. In the heart of Romania's ancient forests, where trees loom like silent guardians and shadows deepen as the sun dips below the horizon, lives a figure both enchanting and terrifying, the Fata Pădurii, the maiden of the forest. Her presence is whispered about in every village, her name spoken with a blend of fear and reverence, as she is the spirit who can seduce and terrify with equal ease. Travelers are warned never to venture too far alone, for once you encounter her, escape becomes a distant hope. They say she is breathtaking, her beauty unlike anything of this world. The few who claim to have seen her say she moves like mist, silent, her form as delicate as the silver light filtering through the leaves. Her eyes are said to glimmer in shades of green that reflect the forest itself, ancient and wild, and when she looks at you, it's as though the forest is peering into your soul, knowing your secrets, your fears. Her voice is soft, like a lullaby carried by the breeze, so gentle it pulls at something deep within, compelling you to step closer, to follow her deeper into the woods. But beneath her beauty lies a darkness that cannot be tamed. Those who dare to approach, entranced by her ethereal allure, find themselves caught in a web from which there is no escape. Some villagers believe she was once human, cursed by the forest for reasons unknown, forced to wander its depths and lure the unsuspecting to share her fate. Others say she is older than time, a spirit born from the wild heart of the forest itself, driven by a rage and sorrow beyond mortal understanding. They speak of her as an echo of something ancient, a memory of the woods when they were untamed, dangerous, and absolute. Stories of her encounters are whispered by firesides, each tale more haunting than the last. One tale tells of a young man, Florin, who, charmed by the beauty of the woods, wandered alone at dusk. As night fell, he felt her presence before he saw her, a faint, sweet fragrance like wildflowers, mixed with something cold and damp, a scent that stirred both longing and dread. Then, there she was, standing amidst the trees, her form glowing faintly in the dim light. Florin was drawn to her, his fear forgotten in the face of such beauty. She smiled, lifting a hand, and he felt his heart quicken, his mind clouded with a strange haze. He took a step forward, then another, each one harder than the last as the forest seemed to shift around him, trapping him in silence. He never returned, and when his family searched, they found nothing but his footsteps leading deeper into the woods, ending abruptly where the shadows began. Some who encounter her are returned, but they come back changed, their eyes hollow, their voices speaking of things no one else can see. They say she whispers secrets that no mortal should know, that her voice fills their dreams with visions of endless trees, dark and twisting, and a sense of dread that clings to them even in the daylight. These wanderers are left haunted, drifting through life as though a part of them never truly left the forest. They no longer speak of what they saw, as though words are too fragile to hold the terror she inspired, too weak to capture the chill of her gaze. Many believe the forest itself is her domain, her kingdom where she reigns with an eerie grace. Travelers who stray too far off the path speak of feeling watched, of hearing faint laughter echoing through the trees, though no one is there. Some even say that if you listen carefully, you can hear her singing, a soft, sorrowful tune that drifts through the branches, luring the unwary off their path. They say her song is filled with promises, sweet words that make the heart ache with longing, words that make one forget the danger until it's too late. Those who follow her voice rarely find their way back, their cries swallowed by the forest long before they reach another soul. Even the animals seem to sense her presence. Birds go silent, deer bolt deeper into the forest, and wolves howl as though warning of her approach. Some believe that the forest itself bends to her will, that the trees lean closer when she moves, the wind quieting as if it, too, fears her power. Those who know the woods well say that certain places are hers alone, areas where the air is colder, the light dimmer, and a feeling of dread settles heavy on the heart. It is here, they say, that her spirit is strongest, where her laughter rings out like a warning to the living, a reminder that the forest keeps its own secrets. There is no escaping the Fata Paduria once she has chosen you. Her beauty may draw you in, but it is her hunger, her sorrow, that binds you to her world. It's said that she traps the souls of her victims, binding them to the trees so they, too, become part of the forest. Some villagers claim that if you listen closely to the wind on quiet nights, you can hear their voices mingling with hers, pleading for release, forever lost in her enchanting and deadly embrace. When the clouds hang heavy but refuse to release their rain, and the fields crack under the weight of drought, people turn to the spirit they trust with their hopes and fears, Paparuta. In villages where the land is lifeblood, and each drop of rain is treasured as a gift from above, this rain-bearing spirit holds a revered place. She is the breath that cools the sun-scorched earth, the whisper that calls clouds from the sky. In these moments, Paparuta becomes more than just a spirit, she is the promise of life itself. Her presence is called upon in times of desperate need, a figure woven through legend and ritual, known to grant rain to those who honor her. When the fields are barren, when cracks split the soil like wounds and the crops wither under a relentless sky, children, usually young girls, perform the sacred dance to summon her. They dress in simple skirts and flowers, their clothes soaked with sprigs of green, their feet bare to connect with the earth that needs Paparuta's blessing. With each step, their movements call her spirit, and their voices rise, chanting old words passed down through generations, a plea carried on the wind, ancient and humble. As the rhythm picks up, the community gathers, their hopes entwined with each beat of the dance. Some people close their eyes, hands clasped together, while others sway to the rhythm, whispering prayers of their own. In these moments, Paparuta feels as close as breath, her spirit felt in the goosebumps that prickle their skin, and the shiver that whispers along their spines. The air grows thick with the scent of earth and leaves, with the hope that their voices will reach her, that the dance will stir her heart. The chant for Paparuta is simple yet potent, a plea to the skies, a call for mercy. As the girls twirl and stamp their feet, they lift their arms, beckoning the rain down from above. Paparuta, come, they cry, their voices rising with the strength of all those who have danced before them. It's said that if Paparuta hears their call, if their dance stirs her spirit, the sky will darken, and a cool wind will sweep through, signaling her arrival. For those who watch, this shift feels like a miracle, an answer to silent prayers woven with faith and fear. The elders often say that Paparuta's spirit is capricious, she comes not for the noise but for the devotion. She listens not with ears but with the heart, for she is the mother of the rain, a force beyond human understanding. They believe she knows the struggles of the village, the cracks in the soil that mirror the worry in their souls. When she chooses to grant them her blessing, it is a gift, a softening of the heavens, and each drop that falls is a reminder of her mercy. The rain, when it finally begins to fall, is greeted with a hush. Every drop feels like a gift from her, a promise renewed. People let the rain soak them, faces lifted to the sky, lips parting in awe as the drops fall, cool and steady, drenching the earth, softening its hardness. It's said that this rain carries the blessing of Paparuta herself, that its touch is different, gentler, more forgiving. Some mothers bring their children out to feel the rain, lifting their tiny hands to catch the drops, so they too may feel Paparuta's touch, so they may know that nature can be kind, even in its strength. The elders say she is a spirit of life and death, a power that can save or destroy. In years when the rains are plentiful, when the crops grow thick and green, they speak of Paparuta with joy and gratitude. But in years of drought, when she remains silent, they whisper her name with fear and sadness. In those times, they believe she is angered or perhaps weary, resting somewhere far beyond their reach. It is said that those who dance for her must do so with pure hearts, that Paparuta only responds to sincerity, to the honesty in their plea. This is why it's often the children who are chosen to perform the dance. Their innocence, untainted by doubt, is believed to reach her spirit. The villagers believe she sees through lies, that she knows the intentions behind each step, each chant. She is a spirit that knows the heart of the earth, and to summon her, they must first surrender to her power, to trust in her ways, unpredictable though they may be. In times of rain granted by Paparuta, her presence lingers. The fields drink deep, the rivers swell, and the villagers can feel her in the mist that clings to the hills at dawn, and the scent of wet earth. For them, Paparuta is more than a myth. She is the thread that ties them to the land, the whisper that reminds them of their connection to the natural world. She is their guardian, their hope, and when the rain falls, they know they are not forgotten. But her absence is felt just as deeply. When the skies remain clear, when the earth cracks underfoot, they wonder if they have failed her. They look to the skies, waiting, hoping, each day a prayer that she will return to them. In these times, the memory of her blessing becomes a bittersweet reminder of the delicate balance between humanity and nature, a reminder that they live at the mercy of forces far beyond their control. Paparuta remains a mystery, a spirit unseen but felt in every drop of rain and every stalk of corn that rises from the ground. She is woven into their songs, their prayers, and the rhythm of the dance that calls her forth. Her presence is a testament to the resilience of life, to the strength of a people who know that the land holds their fate in its hands. And when the rain falls, when the skies open and Paparuta grants them her mercy, they know they are part of something vast, something sacred. When night falls over the ancient forests, and the moonlight flickers between the trees, villagers dare not whisper her name. Muma Padurii, the witch of the woods, is a shadow, a presence lurking deep within the Romanian forests. She is feared, not because of stories told in broad daylight, but because of the silence that follows whenever someone mentions her name, as if the forest itself is holding its breath. Muma Padurii isn't like other spirits. She is not the kind to bless crops or to answer the desperate calls for rain. Instead, she is the keeper of something darker, a spirit that clings to the underbrush, her power woven into the roots and shadows. Some say she has the face of a twisted, ancient tree, with eyes that burn like two embers in the night. Her skin, they say, is bark-like, rough and cracked, her fingers long and thin like the branches that claw at the sky above. And her voice, if one is unfortunate enough to hear it, is like the groan of wood breaking under the weight of centuries. To the villagers, Muma Padurii is a warning, a reminder of the power that lurks in the forest's heart. They speak of travelers who, lost and weary, have followed the faint sound of her singing, only to be found days later, their minds broken and their eyes haunted. It's said that once she calls to you, there's no escape. Her voice lures you deeper, step by step, until the trees close in and the forest becomes a maze you cannot leave. Mothers whisper tales of her to keep their children from wandering too far. They warn that Muma Padurii loves to steal away little ones who stray from the village paths, her touch leaving a chill that no fire can warm. Some say she is searching, always searching, for something or someone that she has lost. Maybe a child of her own, lost to the world of men, or perhaps her own soul, twisted and knotted with anger. And so, she takes any who wander close, as if each could fill that emptiness within her, if only for a moment. There are those who have claimed to have seen her, hunters and woodsmen whose paths took them too close to her domain. They speak of a figure glimpsed from the corner of the eye, a shadow moving silently through the trees, her eyes glinting from the dark. Some say she can take on other forms, transforming into an animal to watch, to follow, before revealing her true self when her prey is too far from help. One hunter told of a wolf with eyes that glowed unnaturally in the darkness, only to see those same eyes in the face of an old woman as he turned to flee. But it isn't just fear that keeps people away, it's the stories of what she can do, of her dark magic that twists and corrupts. They say she has the power to curse those who trespass on her land, to lay upon them a sickness that drains their strength and leaves them hollow. Some speak of a wasting curse, one that leaves its victims wandering the forest, lost in their own minds, consumed by visions only they can see. In the dead of night, villagers have heard distant cries, whispers carried on the wind, believed to be the voices of those trapped by her magic, souls bound to the forest for all eternity. The villagers know that to speak her name, even in whispers, is to risk calling her attention. Some older folk say that Mythical can hear her name spoken anywhere within her domain. To invoke her name is to invite her gaze upon you, a gaze that can pierce through walls and find you even in the heart of your own home. And so, they call her only the one who dwells or the shadowed mother, never daring to use her true name, lest she come searching. In the dim light of their homes, they tell stories of the night her power is strongest, when the moon is but a sliver in the sky, and shadows pool thickly around the trees. On these nights, it's said that Mythical leaves the depths of her forest, wandering closer to the edges, watching the village with an unblinking gaze. On these nights, no one dares go outside, no one dares look toward the forest, for fear that they might see her standing there, waiting. But there are rare tales, stories whispered only by those who believe they've been spared by her mercy. An old widow speaks of the night she became lost in the woods, straying far from the village in her grief. She claims that she felt a presence watching her, a shadow that kept her from wandering deeper. Though she could hear whispers all around her, voices urging her to come closer, to give herself to the forest, she says that something kept her safe, guiding her back to the path. To this day, she believes that Mythical let her go, a rare mercy from a spirit so fierce. Despite these rare accounts, few would be willing to risk an encounter with her. The fear of Mythical is deeply rooted, passed from one generation to the next, growing stronger with each telling. And as long as the forests stand, as long as the trees grow thick and dark, her legend will remain, as much a part of the land as the roots that burrow deep into the earth. They say that the only way to protect yourself from her is to carry a token of iron or a sprig of certain herbs, charms meant to ward off evil. Some hang garlic at their doors, some carve symbols into their door frames, hoping to keep her at bay. For in the quiet hours before dawn, when the world is shrouded in shadows, it is hard not to believe that she is there, just beyond the edge of the village, watching, waiting. Mythical is no gentle spirit, she is the darkness of the forest made flesh, the embodiment of all that is unknown and untamed. She is a warning, a reminder that not everything in the woods wishes them well. And so, they stay close to the village lights, they keep to the familiar paths, and they tell her story, over and over, passing down the fear and respect for the Witch of the Woods, the spirit who guards her forest with a terrible, unyielding power. When people speak of the Blagini, their voices soften, as if telling of a memory too tender to disturb. These are not spirits of darkness, nor creatures meant to frighten or punish. They are the Blagini, gentle, peaceful beings who live far below the shimmering waters of rivers and lakes, hidden from our world, yet forever connected to it. They are believed to dwell in their own quiet realm, a world filled with rivers and streams, untouched by the burdens and conflicts of the human world. Legends say they are protectors of waters, guardians of the fragile balance between life and the natural world, and those who know of them carry a deep respect for their serene and elusive existence. The Blagini are said to be modest in size, with features so gentle that even their presence feels like a soft breeze across the water. In stories, they are described as humble beings with eyes that hold the tranquility of a still lake at dawn. They appear as though they were shaped from the very essence of water, their forms blending seamlessly with the flowing currents that hide them from view. Perhaps it is their simple nature that endears them to the people who honor their presence, for the Blagini are content with what they have, desiring nothing more than the continued peace of their hidden world beneath the waters. These beings, though unseen, are deeply revered by the villagers who live near rivers and lakes. In their traditions, the Blagini are remembered every spring during special ceremonies. As winter's chill fades and the first flowers bloom, people gather by the riverbanks with offerings of bread, carefully shaped and placed on small, makeshift boats crafted from leaves or wood. These gifts are sent drifting downstream with whispered hopes that they will reach the Blagini. For in the minds of the villagers, this simple act is more than an offering, it is a way to connect, a way to send blessings to the quiet souls who live beneath the waters. And it's believed that the Blagini know of these offerings, that they wait in their world, somewhere far downstream, to receive them with open hands and humble gratitude. It is said that they look upon these small gifts with wonder, as children do, grateful for the kindness extended to them by people they will never meet. These gifts are a bond, a bridge between two worlds, one above the surface, where lives are filled with hardship and toil, and the other below, a place of unbroken peace. For generations, the Blagini have been regarded as symbols of innocence, of purity untainted by human sorrow or conflict. In many villages, they are seen as the embodiment of everything simple and good, and some say that even the rivers themselves flow more kindly when the Blagini are honored. To villagers, there is a quiet joy in believing that somewhere, deep beneath the surface, these gentle spirits are watching over them, blessing the waters they drink from, the rivers that carry their boats, and the lakes that provide their food. When drought threatens, or when the rains are too heavy, prayers are often whispered for the Blagini, hoping their peaceful presence might bring balance to the waters once again. There is a story, passed down like a delicate thread from one generation to the next, of a fisherman who once claimed to have seen the Blagini. On a misty morning, when the river lay still as glass, he saw a soft glow beneath the water, moving slowly, as if something ancient and gentle was passing by. He watched, barely daring to breathe, as faint shapes took form beneath the surface, small figures, moving gracefully, as though they were part of the river itself. In that moment, he felt a calm so deep it was as though the river's peace had reached into his very soul. Though he tried to speak of it, his voice failed him, and so, he returned to his village with only the memory, a vision that he carried like a treasure for the rest of his life. It's believed that the Blagini carry no ill will toward humanity, nor do they seek to harm or frighten. Instead, they remain silent observers, content to watch from afar, preferring their quiet world to the noise and haste of life above. And in return, people honor them with a gentle reverence, believing that the presence of the Blagini in the waters brings blessings of purity and protection. Children are told to treat rivers and lakes with respect, not to throw stones or disturb the calm, for to disrupt the water is to disturb the home of the Blagini. On certain nights, under a full moon, some villagers say that if you listen closely by the riverside, you can hear faint murmurs rising from beneath the water. They believe these are the voices of the Blagini, speaking softly among themselves, singing songs that carry the wisdom of ancient waters. The sound is barely there, just a whisper beneath the ripple of the river, but it fills the listener with a sense of quiet wonder, as though they have heard a secret too beautiful to be shared. Those who have heard it are left changed, feeling as if a piece of the Blagini's peace has settled into their hearts, a reminder of the kindness and gentleness that still exists in the hidden corners of the world. In times of hardship, especially when the river runs dry or the land is parched, people remember the Blagini with a special reverence. They gather by the water's edge, each with a silent prayer for mercy and balance, each hoping that the gentle spirits below might grant their plea. For to them, the Blagini are not just mythical beings, they are protectors of the waters that nourish life, guardians of the rivers that bring fertility and sustenance to the land. And even though the Blagini remain unseen, their presence is felt as strongly as the flow of the river itself, a constant, quiet force that shapes the lives of those who honor them. In the minds of the villagers, the Blagini are more than legends, they are a reminder of a different way of being, a gentler way, one that values harmony and kindness over all else. And as long as rivers flow and lakes shimmer beneath the sun, their stories will live on, told and retold by those who feel the pull of the waters and the quiet peace that the Blagini have left behind. As night settles over the Romanian countryside, and fog drifts like ghostly fingers across the land, villagers grow wary, knowing that the mist carries more than a chill. The Naluka, spirits born of fog and shadows, are believed to roam freely in such hours, their forms shifting, intangible, like the mist itself. To those who live close to the forests and mountains, these spirits are real as the ground beneath their feet, and they are to be feared. The Naluka drift silently, emerging from the gray haze, with faces that seem to flicker, half-formed yet disturbingly human, as if they carry the memories of lives long forgotten. In many tales, the Naluka are said to be spirits of those who suffered unfulfilled lives or endured untimely deaths. It's as if the sorrow of their passing, unresolved and restless, lingers in the mists, and on nights thick with fog, their spirits rise to search for what they lost. People say that to see a Naluka is to glimpse the sadness of ages gone by, to see the ache of longing and fear imprinted in their eyes. They wander the edges of villages, hovering by windows, or lingering in the fields and roads. Some villagers believe that these spirits are drawn to the living, seeking warmth, perhaps, or memories to fill the void that the fog alone cannot satisfy. It's said that the Naluka reveal themselves in the quiet moments when the world falls still and the fog wraps tightly around everything it touches. A lone traveler on a mist-laden path might feel their presence first as a shiver, a prickle on the skin, as if a pair of unseen eyes is watching from the shadows. Those who claim to have encountered a Naluka speak of an otherworldly silence, a heavy quiet that presses down, thick as the fog. And then, without warning, a figure might take shape before them, rising from the mist like a memory taking form, a face pale, with hollow eyes, staring, yearning, as though the spirit is caught between worlds, unable to stay, yet unwilling to leave. The stories told by elders paint the Naluka as sorrowful, yet sometimes vengeful, spirits. They are known to haunt those who wander too close, especially if the travelers disturb the land or disrespect the mist that cloaks it. Some say these spirits hold a deep grudge against the living, bitter and twisted by their own unfulfilled existence. On rare nights, when the mist thickens and presses into every corner of the land, the Naluka emerge in greater numbers, their faint whispers merging with the wind, calling to the living with voices so soft they're almost mistaken for the rustling of leaves. But those who listen closely can hear the words, pleas, warnings, fragments of old, half-forgotten stories, as if the Naluka are trying to reach out from their own pasts. One tale that chills villagers to the bone tells of a farmer who returned home late one foggy night after tending to his fields. As he walked through the mist, he felt a cold breath against his neck and turned to see a figure, translucent and shrouded, standing just within reach. The figure's face was familiar. It looked like his long-dead brother, lost to a fever many years before. Yet, something was wrong. The eyes were empty, devoid of life or recognition. The spirit spoke in a voice that was faint, as if drifting from far away, warning him to leave. Terrified, the farmer ran, heart-pounding, never daring to look back. Villagers say he was never the same, haunted by the sight of his brother's face, twisted by the fog, a hollow ghost, a Naluka. Even children, who often laugh at the spooky tales adults tell, know to stay indoors on misty nights. Parents warn them that the Naluka are always near, waiting to pull the living into their cold embrace. When the fog rolls thick, young and old alike shut their windows tight and whisper prayers. The Naluka, they say, have a power that is not bound by walls or doors. They can slip through cracks, drift through keyholes, reaching out to touch the living. And if one should catch your eye through a fogged window, it is said that it will visit you again and again in your dreams, its face always the same, pale, sorrowful, and terrifyingly empty. The Naluka are often drawn to sorrow or grief, finding kinship with those whose spirits are heavy. In one tale, a young woman grieving the recent loss of her mother claimed to see her mother's figure standing in the mist outside her window each night. At first, she found comfort in the sight, believing it was her mother's spirit visiting one last time. But as the nights passed, she began to notice that the figure's face grew less familiar, its features dissolving into something strange and unrecognizable. It no longer resembled her mother. Instead, it looked like something hollow, devoid of warmth. The sight filled her with a dread so deep she dared not look again. To this day, villagers say that what she saw was not her mother's spirit, but a Naluka, drawn to her sorrow, taking on the face of her grief. There are those who believe the Naluka are not inherently evil, but merely lost, trapped in the mist between life and death. They do not seek to harm, they simply cannot find their way. Yet, even these sympathetic tales are tinged with sadness, for the Naluka, whether vengeful or sorrowful, are forever bound to their misty prison. And perhaps that is the most chilling part of their story, that they are neither alive nor fully dead, but something in between, something yearning, forever reaching out from the fog, hoping for release that never comes. On nights when the mist rises, villagers gather together, sharing stories and lighting candles to ward off the spirits. They whisper the names of loved ones who have passed, hoping that their own do not become Naluka, wandering aimlessly, forever caught in the haze. And as the fog swirls outside, the Naluka remains silent, hidden, waiting, bound to the mist, ancient and ageless, haunting the edge of the living world, where memory fades and shadows blend with sorrow. On those days when the sky darkens unexpectedly and the wind howls through the mountains, Romanian villagers know that the Vantoes have awakened. These spirits of the wind, unseen yet deeply felt, are known for their fierce, unpredictable tempers. Some say they are neither good nor evil but exist as raw forces, controlling the winds and weather with a will of their own. To meet the Vantoes on a stormy night is to witness nature's wildest, most untamed side. The Vantoes aren't bound by any earthly rules, they follow their own ancient, unspoken laws, and those who encounter them often feel as if they've glimpsed something beyond human understanding. Farmers, shepherds, and travelers who work in the open fields and highlands carry tales of feeling the Vantoes' presence, an eerie stillness in the air followed by a sudden, violent gust that leaves them breathless and unsettled. To the villagers, this is a warning, a reminder that the Vantoes are near, stirring up the skies with a power only they can wield. These spirits are said to have moods as changeable as the weather they command. In peaceful moments, the Vantoes may simply drift through the air, letting gentle breezes sweep across fields and pastures, bringing comfort and cool relief on warm days. But when angered or disturbed, their presence takes a darker turn. Furious winds rush across the landscape, snapping branches, swirling dust, and tearing at rooftops. Stories tell of how the Vantoes can send whirlwinds into the mountains, leaving trails of destruction in their wake. A shepherd might return to his flock to find his animals scattered and frightened, driven apart by gusts that felt almost alive, as if the wind itself had a mind of its own. Children grow up hearing stories of howling storms that come suddenly, without warning, sweeping through with a strength that leaves even the strongest oaks bending. Parents warn them that whistling at the wind or calling out to it can provoke the Vantoes, who are quick to respond to disrespect with gusts that seem to target the offender. Farmers know to leave small offerings near their fields, a handful of corn, a splash of wine, hoping the Vantoes will accept their gift and leave the crops unscathed. They believe that even these powerful spirits have a sense of respect for those who respect them, that if one honors their power, they might, in return, hold back the fury of the storms. But the Vantoes are capricious, and honoring them does not always guarantee safety. Old stories tell of how travelers caught in their path could be lifted off their feet, spun in dizzying circles, or tossed across the landscape. Some survivors speak of hearing whispers in the wind, voices that were neither human nor animal, murmuring words that could not be understood. The Vantoes, it seems, are more than mere spirits, they are mysteries, beings woven into the very fabric of nature, and to hear them is to brush against something ancient and powerful. There are tales of those who tried to confront the Vantoes directly. An old legend tells of a brave farmer who, tired of seeing his fields ravaged by sudden storms, climbed a mountain and called out to the spirits of the wind, demanding they show themselves. A fierce gust blew him to the ground, and as he struggled to stand, he felt the air thicken around him, pressing down with an almost physical weight. It was then he saw them, figures forming out of the swirling air, their faces blurred, eyes as wild and fierce as the wind itself. They surrounded him, their whispers filling his ears with sounds that felt like a warning and a promise all at once. Terrified, he ran back down the mountain, vowing never to speak of what he'd seen, but forever carrying the memory of those haunting, wind-born figures. People often speak of the Vantoes as unpredictable guardians of the skies. When they are pleased, the weather is mild, the air calm and peaceful. But when their anger is stirred, there is no shelter strong enough to withstand their fury. In some villages, the older generations remember nights when the Vantoes seemed to unleash all their wrath upon the land, winds tearing through towns, roofs lifted from homes, crops ripped from the earth. On such nights, the people huddle together, lighting candles, whispering prayers, hoping the spirits will pass by and spare their homes. It's not just the countryside that feels their presence. Even in the cities, when a storm begins with that eerie, sudden silence, some say it's the Vantoes stirring, gathering their strength, ready to unleash a tempest. The feeling that the winds carry something alive, something watching, never quite leaves the minds of those who know these stories. Children are taught to respect the wind, to never taunt it, to keep their voices low on windy nights. They are told that the Vantoes listen, that they hear every word, every shout, every laugh carried on the breeze, and that they remember. One legend tells of a young girl who loved to run through the fields on windy days, feeling the gusts playfully push her along. One evening, she laughed and called out to the wind, daring it to blow harder, faster. The Vantoes, amused by her laughter, sent a whirlwind that lifted her feet off the ground, carrying her high above the fields. Terrified yet exhilarated, she saw the world below her spinning, the trees swaying, the clouds swirling around her. But the wind soon grew fiercer, colder, and she begged to be let down. As quickly as it had begun, the gust released her, setting her gently back on the ground. She returned home pale and shaken, her laughter gone, her respect for the wind forever changed. The villagers say that the Vantoes are older than any human memory, that they were here long before people and will remain long after. To some, they are protectors, to others, they are harbingers of chaos, forces too wild to ever be tamed or fully understood. When the wind howls in the dead of night, filling the air with eerie, unearthly sounds, they know it is the Vantoes passing by, spirits of the wind, unpredictable and powerful. The villagers hold their breath, staying still and silent, for they know the Vantoes move through the night as they please, leaving those who honor them in peace, if they are lucky. On the darkest nights, when the full moon hangs heavy in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the land, the people of Romania know to tread carefully. They speak in hushed tones of the Praecolisi, the dreaded werewolves that lurk in the shadows, creatures neither fully human nor fully wolf, but something terrifyingly in between. These creatures are born not of ordinary circumstances. The Praecolisi arise from troubled souls, men with darkness in their hearts, whose sins and vices tether them to a fate more feral, more haunting than any other. The villagers say that when a man becomes a Praecolisi, he is cursed to roam the forests and fields forever, trapped in a wild and violent form, more beast than man, with hunger and hatred at his core. The Praecolisi is not merely a man who changes shape, as in other werewolf tales. Here, the creature is a fusion of human malice and the raw, predatory instincts of a wolf. The stories say that those who are marked for this curse often begin to feel it long before the full transformation takes place. At first, it is just a restlessness, an unease that grows as night falls. Soon, it becomes something far darker, as if a storm is brewing inside, clawing to escape. The afflicted man feels himself slipping, losing control, as if he's standing at the edge of a cliff with nothing to hold onto, the darkness inside him growing louder with every heartbeat. Villagers say that during the transformation, the Praecolisi undergoes an excruciating metamorphosis. His skin stretches, his bones twist and break, reforming themselves in unnatural ways. His human cries are lost in growls and snarls as his hands curl into sharp claws, his teeth lengthening into fangs. Eyes that were once filled with humanity turn yellow, feral, driven by a hunger that knows no bounds. What emerges from this painful transition is no longer a man but a creature of nightmares, a massive, wolf-like figure with unnatural strength, its coat matted and dark, smelling of earth and death. In the villages, they tell tales of the Praecolisi haunting the edges of towns, skulking in the shadows of the forest, watching, waiting. It is said that once the Praecolisi gets a taste for blood, it can no longer be sated by mere animals. It becomes drawn to human flesh, seeking out those foolish enough to wander alone at night. Travelers passing through Romanian forests have spoken of feeling watched, of hearing footsteps that seemed to echo their own, quickening as they did. Some report catching glimpses of glowing eyes in the distance, watching from the darkness, eyes that seem almost human but hold a hunger far beyond anything a mere wolf could feel. The Praecolisi, they say, is especially dangerous because it holds a cunning intelligence that other beasts do not. It remembers its past life, retains fragments of the human mind it once possessed, making it a predator that understands human fear, human weakness. In some stories, the Praecolisi has even been known to lure people into the woods with cries that sound like a person calling for help, drawing them in deeper and deeper until escape is impossible. Once it has them, there is no mercy, no humanity left to appeal to. The Praecolisi's fury is relentless, as if every resentment it held as a man now fuels its savage need to kill. Some villagers believe that certain signs can reveal who among them is destined to become a Praecolisi. A man prone to fits of rage, who isolates himself or is cruel to animals, is often watched with suspicion. They say that, in life, these men carry a darkness that does not end with their death, but continues to haunt the living as they rise again in this monstrous form. Some families, in fear of this curse, have even buried their dead with chains, trapping their bodies in the earth, hoping to prevent any return. Others place protective charms at gravesites, fearing that any unrest in a soul could lead it back from death in the form of a Praecolisi. There is one story, whispered from generation to generation, about a farmer named Ion who lived alone at the edge of a dense forest. Ion was known for his bad temper, his bitterness towards others, and a darkness that seemed to follow him wherever he went. When he died suddenly, the villagers buried him quickly, relieved that his angry presence was gone. But on the first full moon after his burial, people began to notice strange signs: a torn-up patch of earth near his grave, claw marks on trees, and animals found dead in the fields, their bodies mangled as if by a large beast. The villagers began to suspect the worst: Ion had returned as a Praecolisi. Fear spread through the village, with people locking their doors at night, keeping their children close. Livestock disappeared, and some claimed to hear low growls echoing through the night. One evening, a young man, curious and determined to see if the tales were true, ventured out to Ion's grave. He found the earth disturbed, as if something had clawed its way out. Before he could react, a massive shadow emerged from the forest, its eyes blazing with a yellow fury. He barely escaped, returning to the village with tales of the Praecolisi's haunting, and for years, the villagers stayed away from the woods, the memory of Ion's restless spirit forever etched in their minds. In some versions of the tale, the curse of the Praecolisi can only be lifted by confronting the creature itself, a task few are brave enough to attempt. It is said that one must catch the creature under the full moon, driving a silver blade through its heart to release the trapped soul within. But such encounters rarely end well. The Praecolisi is a being of pure rage, impossible to subdue, and those who have tried often become the creature's next victims, their screams lost to the howling winds. To this day, the Praecolisi remains a creature of both horror and fascination in Romanian folklore, a warning of what happens when darkness festers within a man's heart. It serves as a reminder that some evils, once unleashed, cannot be contained, lingering in the shadows, waiting for night to fall, when the line between man and beast blurs under the cold light of the moon. On the night when summer reaches its height, when the air feels thick with magic and the stars burn a little brighter, the Sanziin awaken. These mystical spirits, known as the fairies of Midsummer Night, bring with them a presence that lingers in every forest and meadow of Romania. The locals say that on this sacred night, you can feel them in the gentle sway of the tall grasses and the shimmering light that dances upon wildflowers. For one night each year, the Sanziin descend to walk the earth, bringing blessings, beauty, and mysteries to all who dare to seek them. Sanziin appear as stunning maidens with radiant faces and ethereal dresses made of sunlight and stars, their hair adorned with wildflowers and glowing like spun gold. They float across fields, leaving trails of blooms and sweet fragrances in their wake, as if the earth itself blooms under their footsteps. Their presence is said to be powerful enough to make plants grow overnight and turn barren fields into lush landscapes. For those lucky enough to catch a glimpse of them, it's an image that lingers forever, a vision of something both otherworldly and pure. The stories of the Sanziin are woven deeply into Romanian folklore, and many wait in anticipation for the magical celebrations on Midsummer Night. Villagers gather under the open sky, celebrating with fires, dances, and songs that call upon the Sanziin to bless their land, homes, and families. Young women wear crowns of wildflowers, each petal carefully chosen to invoke the spirit of the Sanziin. They dance barefoot on the earth, hoping to catch the fairies' attention, to feel the blessing that only these spirits can give. It's said that the Sanziin possess powers beyond what any mortal can understand. They are believed to have the ability to heal the sick, to make crops thrive, and even to bless those in search of love and happiness. The people believe that on this night, under the watchful eyes of the Sanziin, magic flows freely, and the world becomes more alive, more attuned to wishes whispered in secret. Women seeking love or fertility leave offerings in the fields, trusting that the Sanziin will grant them their heart's desires. Others who are ill or troubled leave gifts in hopes that the fairies' touch will ease their burdens. But the Sanziin are not to be approached carelessly. They are both beautiful and wild, known for their unpredictable nature. Just as they can bless, they can also curse those who disrespect them or fail to honor the Midsummer Night traditions. Some tales tell of farmers who tried to harvest crops on this sacred night, only to find their fields ruined, the plants twisted, and the soil barren. Others speak of those who sought to spy on the Sanziin, thinking they could trap or outwit them, only to return dazed, wandering as if in a dream, unable to remember what they saw. For those who respect the Sanziin, however, the rewards are beyond measure. Some villagers say that they have woken to find their land blossoming, their gardens thick with flowers that were not there before. Families speak of blessings passed down for generations, stories of ancestors who encountered the Sanziin and were granted fortunes or lasting happiness. And always, these stories carry a note of reverence, a reminder that such encounters are rare, gifts from the spirits that must be cherished and respected. One famous tale tells of a young woman named Anka, who, heartbroken and alone, wandered the fields on Midsummer Night, her silent tears mingling with the night dew on the wildflowers. She had lost her love to war and felt as if her spirit was withering. But as she walked, the air grew warmer, and the soft, melodic sound of laughter filled her ears. She looked up and saw them, the Sanziin, glowing softly in the moonlight, their forms dancing gracefully, their laughter like music woven from stars. One of them approached her, placing a gentle hand on her heart, whispering words she couldn't understand. That night, Anka felt her sorrow lift, replaced by a sense of peace she hadn't known before. From then on, she found strength she hadn't thought possible, living a life that became a beacon of joy for those around her. She always credited her blessings to that sacred night with the Sanziin, telling her children and grandchildren that love and hope could be found, even in the darkest of times, if one had faith in the magic of midsummer. Children, too, are drawn to the legends of the Sanziin, and many are kept awake on Midsummer Night by dreams of the fairies. They leave little trinkets, flowers, stones, or ribbons in the grass, hoping that the Sanziin might notice their gifts and bring them good fortune or protect them from harm. In the morning, when they rush out to check, they find the offerings gone, and they whisper to each other that the Sanziin must have accepted their tokens. In the folklore, the Sanziin also hold dominion over the night sky, ensuring that the balance of nature remains intact. Some say that they guide the stars, that their dances create constellations, weaving light and darkness together in perfect harmony. On this night, they are guardians of the earth and sky alike, watching over the people and keeping the natural world aligned. It's a time when heaven and earth feel closer than ever, when the veil between the human and spirit worlds grows thin. As dawn approaches, the villagers know the Sanziin's visit is coming to an end. The fields fall silent, the flowers gently close, and the world feels just a bit quieter, as if holding its breath after a night filled with magic. People go home feeling renewed, their hearts lightened, their souls stirred, carrying a sense of wonder that lingers long after the night has ended. And though the Sanziin vanish with the first rays of sunlight, the memory of their presence remains, like a whisper, a promise of magic and hope that will return again next summer. Throughout the year, the villagers tell the stories of Midsummer Night, of the Sanziin's grace and power, waiting eagerly for that magical time to come again. In the heart of the Romanian forests, where shadows twist and laughter echoes through the trees, dwell the Holt. These small, elusive beings are known for their mischievous pranks and playful spirit. They flit through the underbrush, resembling tiny elves with twinkling eyes and a penchant for trouble. Many have felt their presence, often as a whisper in the wind or a sudden rustle in the leaves, but few have ever seen them. The Holt are tricksters, delighting in creating confusion and chaos, yet their antics often hold deeper meanings, revealing the fragility of life and the importance of joy in the human experience. One crisp autumn evening, when the sun dipped low and painted the sky with hues of orange and pink, a group of villagers gathered around a bonfire. They shared stories of the Holt, tales passed down from generation to generation. As the flames flickered, casting dancing shadows, the atmosphere brimmed with a mix of laughter and apprehension. Each tale carried a warning: never underestimate the Holt, for they have a knack for turning the ordinary into the extraordinary, often in ways that leave you laughing and scratching your head in confusion. The villagers spoke of one fateful day when old Mihai, a respected farmer known for his stubborn ways, set out to tend to his fields. He had always dismissed the tales of the Holt, believing them to be mere folklore meant to scare children. As he walked, he felt a sudden chill in the air, as if the very forest held its breath, watching him. Little did he know, the Holt had already taken notice. They watched with gleeful anticipation, ready to play their favorite game. As Mihai bent down to inspect his crops, he noticed that the vegetables he had planted were not where they should be. Carrots had sprouted in rows of potatoes, and tomatoes grew tangled in the peas. Confused, he shook his head and muttered to himself about how careless he must have been. But as he began to rearrange the plants, he felt a tug at the hem of his trousers. He looked down, startled to see a small figure with bright eyes peering up at him, grinning widely. "Leave them be," the Holt shouted, its voice like the tinkling of small bells. "It's much more fun this way." Mihai, taken aback, stumbled backward. The little creature danced around him, delighting in his shock. "You think you know best, old man, but let the earth decide. Life is not meant to be so orderly." With that, the Holt dashed away into the woods, leaving Mihai bewildered. The farmer stood frozen for a moment, the colors of the garden spinning in his mind, until laughter bubbled up from his throat. In that moment, he understood, perhaps life didn't have to be perfect, and maybe chaos was part of the beauty. He left the garden as it was, embracing the whimsical blend of plants, which soon flourished in a way he had never imagined. As word of Mihai's unusual garden spread, others became curious. Children crept into the fields, eager to see the magic for themselves. They giggled as they pointed out the peculiar growths and the unexpected friendships between the plants. It was a riot of color and life, a testament to the Holt's spirit of mischief. From that day on, Mihai welcomed the little tricksters, even setting out tiny offerings of sweet berries and honey. In return, he found laughter blooming in his heart, a joy he had long forgotten amidst the seriousness of life. The tales of the Holt grew richer with each passing season. Villagers shared stories of their own encounters, of lost items reappearing in the most unexpected places, of livestock mysteriously changing their pens, and of shadows that danced in ways that brought smiles instead of fears. One grandmother spoke of the time she had lost her favorite shawl, only to find it hanging from a tree branch, dancing in the breeze. When she reached for it, the wind picked up, swirling the leaves around her, and for a brief moment, she could swear she heard laughter echoing through the air. Yet, not all tales were lighthearted. The Holt were known to test one's patience, and those who took themselves too seriously often found themselves in the midst of the trickster's games. One evening, a proud merchant named Ion sought to impress the villagers with his new, expensive cart. He bragged loudly, claiming that he had the finest goods in all the land. The Holt listened with amusement, their eyes twinkling mischievously. As Ion rolled into the village, the cart suddenly tilted, sending its contents tumbling into the dirt. Beautiful fabrics, shiny trinkets, and fragrant spices spilled everywhere, much to the delight of the children who rushed forward to claim the bounty. Ion's face burned with embarrassment, but as the laughter of the villagers rang in his ears, he realized that he was the one being played. Instead of feeling anger, he let out a chuckle, picking up the scattered goods alongside the children. That day, he learned that life was not just about status or possessions, it was about connection and joy, shared in moments of laughter and spontaneity. As dusk fell on the village, a tradition began to form. Each year, during the harvest festival, the villagers would gather in the woods, setting out small altars filled with colorful flowers, ripe fruits, and homemade sweets. They would sing songs and dance, inviting the Holt to join their celebration. And on those nights, magic filled the air, as lights twinkled in the trees and laughter echoed through the night. People shared stories of their encounters, weaving tales of joy, learning, and the beautiful unpredictability of life. With each passing year, the bond between the villagers and the Holt grew stronger. The tricksters became not just figures of folklore, but symbols of the joy that comes from embracing life's uncertainties. They reminded everyone that the world could be a wondrous place if only one would let go of rigid expectations and open their heart to the unexpected. As the stories continued to be told around the flickering fires, a sense of unity emerged. The villagers understood that even in their most trying times, laughter could always be found. It became a shared belief that the Holt, with their playful nature, were watching over them, ready to sprinkle a little magic into their lives whenever they needed it most. On quiet nights, if you listened closely, you could still hear the distant giggles of the Holt dancing through the trees, a gentle reminder that life is meant to be lived fully, with all its imperfections and delightful surprises. Their spirit, mischievous yet caring, weaves through the very fabric of the village, leaving a trail of joy that lingers long after they've flitted away. In the quiet corners of Romanian villages, a shiver often runs through the air at the sight of the genusa. These mysterious birds, adorned with feathers that glimmer like dark jewels, are not just ordinary creatures. To the villagers, they are omens, harbingers of fortune or misfortune, with powers that can sway the very course of a person's life. When a genusa appears, conversations fall silent, and eyes widen with a mix of reverence and fear. The legends surrounding these birds carry a weight that is felt in every heartbeat. One stormy evening, as rain lashed against the rooftops and thunder rumbled ominously, an old woman named Anna sat by her window, knitting a shawl for her granddaughter. The storm had long become a familiar companion, but this night felt different. The air crackled with tension, and the shadows seemed to dance wildly. Just as Anna settled into the rhythm of her knitting, a loud caw broke through the roar of the wind. She looked up to see a genusa perched on a branch outside her home, its glossy feathers reflecting flashes of lightning. Anna's heart sank. In her village, the arrival of a genusa was not a good sign. It meant something was amiss, something that could bring illness or sorrow. She had heard stories of those who encountered these birds, tales that turned her blood cold. The bird's haunting call echoed in her ears, a cry that felt like an omen of change. Shaking off the chill, Anna returned to her knitting, but her mind raced with worry. Later that night, the storm intensified, rattling the windows and howling through the cracks of the old wooden house. Just as Anna tried to forget the genusa, a frantic knock came at her door. It was her neighbor, Elena, her face pale and eyes wide with fear. "It's my son, Dacian," she gasped, barely able to catch her breath. "He fell ill suddenly, and I think it's the genusa." Panic swept through Anna. The tales had warned of the bird's ability to summon sickness, and now it was too close to ignore. Without a second thought, she grabbed her shawl and followed Elena through the pouring rain. The path was slick and treacherous, but determination drove them forward. They reached Elena's home, where Dacian lay on his bed, pale and trembling. His mother knelt beside him, brushing hair from his forehead, tears streaming down her face. Anna moved closer, her heart heavy with worry. She could feel the weight of the genusa's presence like a dark cloud in the room. "What can we do?" Elena whispered, her voice choked with despair. Anna remembered the stories of how to confront the curse of the genusa. They spoke of rituals involving herbs and prayers, of calling upon the spirits of the land to banish the darkness. She quickly gathered herbs from the nearby woods, their scents grounding her in purpose. As she worked, the storm outside began to calm. The wind's fury turned into a soft whisper, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. Anna mixed the herbs in a bowl, murmuring prayers passed down through generations. With each word, she felt a flicker of hope igniting in her chest, battling against the fear that gripped her. Hours passed, and the storm finally relented, leaving only a gentle rain. Dacian's fever began to fade, and color slowly returned to his cheeks. The relief that washed over Elena was palpable, her sobs turning into quiet gratitude. Anna felt a warmth in her heart, knowing they had pushed back against the shadow that the Genusa had brought. The next morning, as the sun rose and bathed the world in golden light, Anna ventured outside. She could hear the birds singing cheerfully, a stark contrast to the darkness of the night before. Just as she stepped into her garden, she spotted the Genusa again, watching from a distance. This time, its eyes seemed different, almost curious rather than threatening. With a deep breath, Anna approached the bird slowly, the ground soft beneath her feet. "You have power," she spoke softly, her voice steady. "But you also bring fear. We have faced your darkness and found light. What do you want?" The Genusa tilted its head, its feathers shimmering in the sunlight, and for a moment, it felt as though time stood still. Anna understood then that the bird was not just a bringer of misfortune, but a keeper of balance. It tested the strength of the villagers, challenging them to confront their fears and discover their resilience. From that day forward, Anna shared her story with everyone she met. She spoke of courage in the face of darkness and the need to embrace both joy and sorrow. The Genusa became less of a creature to dread and more of a reminder of the fragility of life. Villagers began to leave offerings at the edge of the woods, small tokens of respect for the bird that danced between realms. They understood that omens could be both good and bad, but it was how they responded that truly mattered. Some began to paint pictures of the Genusa, celebrating its beauty while acknowledging its power. As time passed, the tales of the Genusa evolved. People spoke of the bird with a mix of reverence and respect, recognizing that every encounter was a lesson in humility. The stories brought them closer together, creating bonds that could withstand even the fiercest storms. Every spring, as the birds returned to the skies, villagers would gather to share their experiences. They laughed, cried, and celebrated the ways they had learned to overcome the darkness. In those moments, the Genusa became a symbol of hope, a reminder that life is filled with both shadows and light, and that strength is often born from adversity. Through the years, the legend of the Genusa endured, whispering through the trees and dancing on the winds. It taught generations that sometimes, the omens we fear most can lead us to discover our true selves. And every time a Genusa appeared in the sky, the villagers looked up not with dread, but with open hearts, ready to face whatever came their way. In the heart of Romania, legends whisper of a creature so powerful and fearsome that just the mention of its name sends shivers down the spine. The Zmeu is not just a monster, it is a symbol of fear and darkness, lurking in the shadows of stories passed down through generations. Towering over mountains and valleys, this giant demonic figure embodies everything sinister and chaotic. With eyes that burn like molten gold and breath that can scorch the earth, the Zmeu strikes terror into the hearts of those who dare to cross its path. Long ago, in a small village nestled at the foot of the Carpathian Mountains, there lived a brave young girl named Elena. She was known for her kindness and her willingness to help others, always lending a hand to those in need. But whispers of the Zmeu had begun to seep into the village, and fear took root in the hearts of the villagers. Stories of its cruel nature circulated, how it would swoop down from the mountains to snatch livestock and even children, leaving behind only despair and destruction. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting eerie shadows across the land, a deafening roar echoed through the valley. The villagers rushed outside, their hearts racing. From the darkness, the Zmeu emerged, its massive wings casting a shadow that enveloped the village. Fear gripped their hearts as they watched the beast circle overhead, its fierce gaze scanning for prey. Elena stood frozen, her heart pounding in her chest. She had always been told that monsters were to be feared, but deep within her, a spark of courage ignited. The Zmeu was a creature of legend, and she knew that legends could be challenged. As the villagers fled to their homes, she felt a surge of determination. She couldn't let fear dictate her life or her village's fate. That night, as the moonlight bathed the world in silver, Elena gathered her strength and decided to confront the Zmeu. She took a deep breath and whispered a prayer to the spirits of her ancestors for protection. With only a lantern to guide her way, she made her way up the mountain, her heart racing with every step. The air was thick with anticipation, and the night seemed to hum with energy. As she climbed higher, the ground beneath her feet began to tremble, and the wind howled around her like a chorus of wailing spirits. But Elena pressed on, her resolve unyielding. Finally, she reached a clearing, and there stood the Zmeu, its colossal form silhouetted against the moon. It was more terrifying than she had ever imagined, its scales glinting like shards of glass, and its breath steaming in the cold night air. With her heart pounding, Elena called out to the creature. "Zmeu, I know you are powerful, but you do not have to terrorize our village. You can choose to be better. You can choose kindness instead of cruelty." The Zmeu turned its piercing gaze toward her, curiosity flickering in its eyes. No one had ever dared to speak to it in such a way before. It roared in anger, the sound echoing off the mountains like thunder, but Elena stood her ground. She felt the weight of her village's hopes resting on her shoulders, and that fueled her courage. "Your strength does not make you a ruler," she shouted, her voice steady. "It is your choices that define you. You can protect rather than destroy. You can uplift instead of terrify." For a moment, silence enveloped them. The Zmeu's fury began to wane as it contemplated her words. The beast, so accustomed to being feared and loathed, found itself strangely moved by the girl's bravery. It had long been trapped in its own rage, believing that power came from instilling fear. With every beat of her heart, Elena felt a connection growing between them. She could see the pain and loneliness hidden behind the creature's fierce exterior. The Zmeu was not just a monster, it was a being yearning for understanding. "I can help you," she offered gently. "You don't have to be alone in this world." The Zmeu paused, the fire in its eyes dimming as it lowered its massive head. In that moment, something shifted in the air, a fragile truce born from compassion. As the first light of dawn broke over the mountains, illuminating the sky with hues of orange and gold, Elena took a step closer. She reached out, her hand trembling, and touched the cool, rough scales of the Zmeu's snout. In that brief touch, a bond was formed. The Zmeu, once feared and reviled, began to understand that it could choose a different path. It had lived so long in darkness that it had forgotten the warmth of light. With Elena's bravery shining like a beacon, it realized it could be more than just a monster. From that day forward, the Zmeu transformed. Instead of terrorizing the village, it became a guardian. The villagers watched in awe as the creature soared through the sky, its massive wings casting a protective shadow over their homes. With every flap, it brought gentle rain to their crops and cleared the skies of storms. It became a protector of the land, a symbol of change and redemption. Elena's heart swelled with pride as she saw the transformation unfold. She had faced the monster and found the heart of a guardian within it. The Zmeu was no longer a giant of nightmares, but a friend to the village, a testament to the power of compassion and understanding. As seasons turned into years, the bond between Elena and the Zmeu deepened. Together, they shared laughter and stories, and the villagers came to celebrate the creature they once feared. They learned to embrace both light and dark, understanding that even the most fearsome beings could choose to walk the path of kindness. The Zmeu became a legend of a different kind, a tale of hope passed down through generations. It served as a reminder that even the most powerful among us can change, that love and courage can conquer fear, and that every monster has a story waiting to be told. In the hearts of the villagers, the Zmeu would forever be a symbol of redemption, a giant who had chosen to protect rather than destroy, forever changing the course of their lives. In the quiet moments just before dawn, when the world is still wrapped in darkness, a soft light begins to break through the horizon. It's in these magical hours that the mandriel, the divine maidens of light, are said to descend from the heavens. They are not mere figments of imagination, they are celestial beings, radiant and ethereal, embodying beauty and purity. Each mandra shines with a light that can pierce the darkest shadows, bringing hope and comfort to those in need. Once, in a small village nestled between lush green hills, there lived a girl named Anna. She was known for her warm smile and gentle heart, always helping her neighbors and sharing what little she had. But one fateful summer, a terrible drought struck the village. The fields lay dry and cracked, and the rivers that once flowed with life had turned to mere trickles. The villagers grew desperate, their hearts heavy with worry for their families. Anna watched as the spirits of her friends and neighbors dwindled. They gathered to pray for rain, but the skies remained clear, taunting them with their endless blue. On one particularly bleak evening, when the last rays of the sun disappeared behind the mountains, Anna climbed to the top of a hill overlooking the village. With tears streaming down her face, she cried out to the heavens, "Oh, divine maidens, hear my plea. We need your light. We need your help." As her voice echoed into the night, a soft glow began to envelop the hill. Anna felt a warmth surrounding her, and from that light emerged the mandrill. Their beauty was beyond compare, each one adorned in shimmering gowns that sparkled like stars. They floated gracefully before Anna, their eyes filled with compassion. "Do not weep, dear child," one of the maidens said, her voice like the gentle rustle of leaves in a breeze. "We have heard your cries and felt the pain in your heart. Your kindness has not gone unnoticed." With a flick of her wrist, the mandrill summoned clouds from the edges of the horizon, swirling them together in a dance of light and grace. The air shimmered with magic, and soon, raindrops began to fall from the heavens, delicate at first, then building into a torrential downpour. The villagers rushed out, their faces turning skyward in awe. Anna's heart soared as she watched the mandrill work. It was as if the very essence of life was returning to her village. The flowers began to bloom, and the rivers swelled with fresh water. The mandrill danced above, their laughter mingling with the sound of rain, a melody of joy and renewal. But the mandrill were not merely bringers of rain, they were also guardians of hope. As the storm raged, they visited each home, wrapping their light around those who were lost or in despair. They whispered words of comfort to the sick, easing their pain, and rekindling the flickering spirits of the weary. In one house, they found a widow named Maria, who had lost her husband to illness. Grief had shrouded her heart like a dark cloak, isolating her from the world. The mandrill gathered around her, their light illuminating the shadows that filled her room. "Your sorrow is known to us, dear one," one said softly. "Let your heart remember the love you shared, for it still shines brightly within you." As the light touched Maria, warmth blossomed in her heart, and her tears transformed from sorrow to bittersweet joy. She remembered the laughter they shared, the dreams they built together. The mandrill helped her realize that while her husband was gone, his love remained, woven into the very fabric of her life. With their encouragement, Maria stepped out of her darkness, allowing hope to flood back in. As dawn broke, the sun emerged, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The village was alive, vibrant, and renewed. The mandrill, satisfied with their work, gathered once more upon the hill where they first appeared. Anna stood among her neighbors, watching in awe. They had brought back life to their village, and the air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers and fresh earth. As the maidens prepared to return to the heavens, Anna stepped forward, her heart full of gratitude. "Thank you, dear maidens, for your kindness and grace. You have saved us." One of the mandrill smiled, her eyes sparkling like the morning dew. "Remember, Anna, whenever you see the light of the dawn, know that our spirit is always with you. In your moments of darkness, let your heart guide you to kindness, for that is where our true power lies." With that, the mandrill ascended into the sky, leaving a trail of shimmering light behind them. The villagers watched in wonder as they disappeared into the clouds, their hearts filled with hope and joy. In the days that followed, Anna and her neighbors tended to their fields and gardens with newfound energy. The rain had not only nourished the land, it had reignited their spirits. They shared laughter and stories, helping each other rebuild what had been lost. The mandrill's visit became a cherished tale, passed down through generations, reminding the village of the power of kindness and the light that resides within each of them. Anna grew into a wise woman, teaching the younger generations about the mandrill and the importance of compassion. She encouraged them to look for the beauty in the world, to help those in distress, and to always believe in the light. The village flourished, not just in crops but in spirit, forever carrying the light of the mandrill in their hearts. Years later, on a hilltop overlooking the village, a young girl named Sophia knelt in prayer. She had heard the stories of the divine maidens and felt a longing in her heart. With hope shining in her eyes, she called out, just as Anna had done so long ago, "Oh, mandrill, hear my plea. We need your light." And in the quiet moments before dawn, the soft glow of the mandrill began to break through the darkness once more, ready to guide and inspire, reminding all who believed in their light that they are never alone. In the shadowy corners of Romanian folklore, where whispers travel on the wind and shadows dance in the flickering candlelight, there lurks a figure that sends shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls: Strigoi, the Prince of Darkness. His name is spoken in hushed tones, a name that evokes fear and curiosity. He embodies temptation and despair, a haunting reminder of the struggle between good and evil that plays out in the hearts of every man and woman. Strigoi is often depicted as a dark and handsome figure, cloaked in shadows that seem to swirl around him like smoke. With piercing eyes that glimmer with malice, he walks the line between charm and danger. He is the master of deceit, able to lure even the purest souls into his grasp with promises of wealth, power, and forbidden knowledge. In the quiet nights, when the moon hangs low in the sky, it is said that you can hear his laughter echoing through the trees, a chilling reminder of his presence. His origins are steeped in myth. Some say that Strigoi was once a fallen angel, cast out from the heavens for his pride and ambition. Others believe he is an ancient spirit, a remnant of a time when the world was filled with darkness and chaos. Whatever his true nature, he is a figure that has left an indelible mark on the hearts of those who hear his tales. One story tells of a young man named Mihai, a humble farmer who lived on the edge of a vast forest. Mihai was kind-hearted and hard-working, tending to his land with love and dedication. But as time passed, he struggled to make ends meet. The crops were failing, and the weight of his family's expectations felt heavy on his shoulders. Despair began to creep into his heart like a dark fog, threatening to suffocate his spirit. One fateful night, as Mihai wandered the forest seeking answers, he stumbled upon a clearing bathed in an eerie light. In the center stood Strigoi, his figure illuminated by the glow of the moon. "Ah, young Mihai," he purred, his voice smooth like velvet. "I've been waiting for you. I can offer you everything you desire: riches, power, and a life free from worry." Mihai's heart raced. The allure of Strigoi's promises was intoxicating. "What do I need to do?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Just a small favor," Strigoi replied, his smile wide and inviting. "A simple agreement, your soul in exchange for a life of comfort. You will never have to toil again." In that moment, the weight of Mihai's struggles pressed heavily upon him. He imagined a life where he could provide for his family without fear, where laughter filled his home and joy reigned in his heart. It was a tempting offer, and the darkness within him began to stir, whispering that perhaps the price was worth it. As he stood on the precipice of temptation, visions of a brighter future flickered before his eyes. But then, a memory emerged. His grandmother's voice echoed in his mind, recounting tales of Strigoi and the fates of those who made deals with the Prince of Darkness. She had warned him of the heavy cost, the terrible consequences that came with such bargains. The weight of those words anchored him, grounding him in his humanity. "No," Mihai finally said, his voice stronger now. "I will not trade my soul for a fleeting moment of comfort. I refuse." Strigoi's expression twisted into one of rage. "You dare defy me?" His voice turned cold, echoing through the forest like a thunderclap. "You will regret this choice." With that, the shadows around him surged, dark tendrils reaching out as if to snatch him away. But Mihai stood firm, drawing upon the strength of his ancestors and the love of his family. He remembered the laughter they shared and the warmth of their embraces, and he knew he could not betray that bond. As dawn approached, the first light of day began to break through the darkness. With a final, furious roar, Strigoi vanished into the shadows, leaving only a lingering chill in the air. Mihai returned home, his heart pounding but filled with a sense of peace. He understood now that true wealth was not measured in gold or power, but in love and integrity. The trials he faced would not disappear overnight, but he was ready to face them with newfound strength. Word of Mihai's encounter spread through the village, inspiring others to resist Scaraci's temptations. People began to speak openly about their fears, sharing their struggles rather than hiding in the shadows. They realized that in facing their darkness together, they could find light. As seasons changed, the village flourished once more. Mihai worked alongside his neighbors, rebuilding their lives and their community. They celebrated the simple joys, the laughter of children, the harvest from their fields, and the bonds they shared. Though Scaraci's presence was never far away, he had lost his grip on their hearts. But the tale of Scaraci never faded from memory. He remained a cautionary figure, a symbol of the darkness that could creep into one's heart. In quiet moments, when the wind whispered through the trees, people would remind each other of Mihai's courage and the power of choice. They knew that the Prince of Darkness would always be lurking, waiting for moments of weakness. But they also learned that light could shine through even the deepest shadows. Scaraci became a ghostly figure in their lives, a reminder that true strength lies not in the absence of darkness, but in the courage to face it. His influence continued to echo in their tales, shaping generations to come. The villagers shared their stories around fires, passing down lessons of resilience and integrity. And so, even as darkness danced at the edges of their lives, they carried within them a flame of hope. The legacy of Mihai's choice became a beacon, guiding others to find their strength and choose light over darkness. In the end, it was not just a tale of Scaraci, the Prince of Darkness, it was a celebration of humanity's ability to choose goodness, even in the face of overwhelming temptation. In the gentle embrace of the Carpathian Mountains, where the rolling hills meet the sky and the air is sweet with the scent of wildflowers, there exists a realm filled with whispers of ancient spirits. Among these spirits are the Mythics, the divine guardians of Romanian pastures. They are unseen protectors, watching over the flocks and shepherds, ensuring that life flourishes in harmony with nature. The Mythics are not just spirits, they embody the essence of the land itself. They are often described as ethereal figures cloaked in soft, shimmering light, appearing just as dawn breaks over the hills or as dusk settles in a soft blanket over the meadows. Their presence brings peace, and their laughter can be heard in the rustling of the leaves and the gentle babbling of the brooks. Legends tell of a shepherd named Ion, who tended to his sheep in a lush, green pastures surrounded by majestic mountains. Ion was a kind and hard-working man, known throughout the village for his gentle spirit. He had a special bond with his sheep, often singing to them as he guided them across the meadows. He believed that each song he sang carried a piece of his heart, a melody woven into the fabric of the land. One summer, as Ion roamed the hills with his flock, he noticed a strange darkness creeping over the pastures. The grass that had once been vibrant and green began to wilt, and the sky turned a shade of gray. Fear gripped his heart as he realized that a powerful force was threatening his home. The villagers spoke of a malevolent spirit, one that sought to drain the life from the land and disrupt the harmony between man and nature. This spirit, they believed, could only be defeated by the Mythics, the divine guardians of the pastures. Determined to save his flock and his land, Ion climbed to the highest peak, where the air was thin and the world spread out below him like a beautiful quilt. He called upon the Mythics with all his heart, singing an ancient song that had been passed down through generations. He poured every ounce of love and desperation into his melody, hoping to reach the guardians who watched over him. As the final notes of his song lingered in the air, a soft light began to illuminate the mountains. The Mythics appeared before Ion, their forms glowing like stars against the twilight sky. They were majestic and beautiful, their eyes shimmering with kindness and strength. "Fear not, brave shepherd," one of them said, their voice like a gentle breeze. "We have heard your call. We have seen your love for your flock and your dedication to the land. We will help you." With a wave of their hands, the Mythics summoned the winds, stirring up the clouds and bringing rain to the parched earth. The droplets fell softly at first, then grew into a gentle shower, washing away the darkness that threatened to engulf the pastures. The ground soaked up the life-giving water, and the grass sprang back to life, lush and vibrant once more. Ion watched in awe as the Myridics danced through the rain, their laughter echoing across the hills. In that moment, he felt a deep connection to the land, to the spirits who cared for it, and to the ancient traditions that had been woven into the very fabric of his being. Tears of gratitude filled his eyes as he realized the true power of love and community, the bond between man and nature, shepherd and spirit. But as the storm passed, Ion felt a sense of unease wash over him. He knew that the malevolent spirit still lurked nearby, waiting for another chance to strike. The Myridics sensed his fear and approached him with warmth and compassion. "Do not lose hope, dear shepherd," they said. "The darkness may return, but you hold the power to protect your land. Your songs carry the love of the pastures, and that love will shield you from harm." Inspired by their words, Ion gathered the villagers together. They shared stories of the Myridics and the bond they had with the land. They sang together under the moonlight, their voices rising in harmony. As they sang, the air shimmered with magic, and the spirits of the Myridics joined them, their light dancing among the villagers. From that day on, the bond between the villagers and the Myridics grew stronger. They celebrated the changing seasons, honoring the spirits with songs and rituals that connected them to the earth. Whenever trouble arose, they would gather on the highest peak, calling out to the guardians who watched over them. Years passed, and the village thrived, becoming a place where the past and present intertwined. Children learned the songs of the Myridics, singing them as they played in the fields. The legends of the guardians became a cherished part of their culture, a reminder of the love that existed between the land and its people. But darkness still lurked, and the villagers knew they must remain vigilant. One day, a fierce storm rolled in from the mountains, dark clouds swirling ominously overhead. The villagers felt a chill in the air, a sense of foreboding. The malevolent spirit had returned, stronger than before, seeking to sow fear and despair among them. The villagers gathered once more on the peak, their hearts pounding in their chests. Ion led the group, his voice steady as he began to sing the ancient melody that had once summoned the Myridics. As the first notes rose into the stormy sky, they felt the earth tremble beneath their feet. Suddenly, the Myridics appeared, their luminous forms cutting through the darkness. They stood beside the villagers, their presence a beacon of hope. "Together, we will face this darkness," they declared, their voices echoing like thunder. With renewed strength, the villagers joined their voices, harmonizing with the Myridics. The storm raged around them, but their song pierced through the chaos, weaving a tapestry of light and love that enveloped them all. The dark spirit howled in anger, unable to withstand the power of their unity. As their song reached its crescendo, the wind shifted, and the dark clouds began to dissipate. The storm lost its fury, and the light of the Myridics shone brighter than ever. The villagers felt a wave of warmth wash over them, a reminder that love could conquer even the darkest of forces. When the last note faded into the night, the spirit of darkness was banished, and calm settled over the land. The Myridics stood proud, their eyes shining with gratitude. "You have proven that together, you can overcome anything," they said, their voices filled with warmth. From that day forward, the bond between the villagers and the Myridics flourished. They celebrated their victories with joy and gratitude, knowing that the guardians would always watch over them. Their songs echoed across the pastures, weaving stories of love and resilience into the very soil beneath their feet. As seasons changed and life continued, the spirit of the Myridics remained alive in the hearts of the villagers. They understood that their connection to the land was a gift, a sacred trust that needed to be nurtured. And as long as they sang, as long as they honored the Myridics, the pastures would thrive, and their spirits would remain forever intertwined. In the stillness of a moonlit night, when shadows danced beneath the trees, the villagers of old Romania felt a shiver of unease. They had always known that darkness could creep into their lives, bringing with it creatures that thrived on fear and despair. Strigoi, moroi, and other malevolent beings haunted their dreams and lurked at the edges of their homes, seeking to disrupt the peace of their quiet lives. But the villagers were not helpless. They carried with them the weight of traditions passed down through generations, rituals that had the power to protect them from these dark forces. When the sun dipped below the horizon and the first stars flickered in the sky, families would gather together, forming tight-knit circles of warmth and love. They lit candles and placed them in their windows, the flickering flames serving as beacons of hope against the encroaching darkness. As the soft glow illuminated their faces, a sense of unity filled the air. They whispered ancient prayers, invoking the spirits of their ancestors to watch over them, to guard their homes from the threats that lay beyond. One of the most important rituals involved the use of garlic, a powerful symbol of protection. Villagers would hang strands of garlic at their doors and windows, believing that the pungent aroma would repel Strigoi and moroi, creatures of the night that fed on the living. The smell of garlic wafted through the air, mingling with the scent of wood smoke and the rustling leaves, creating an atmosphere of sacredness and resilience. As they hummed the garlic, the villagers would recite incantations, their voices rising in harmony like a soothing melody, binding their intentions to the earth. But the garlic alone was not enough to ward off the darkness. The villagers also prepared small charms, crafted from simple materials found in nature. They would weave twigs and threads together, creating protective amulets that they would carry close to their hearts. These charms were imbued with the energy of their hopes and prayers, a tangible reminder of their strength in the face of fear. Parents would make sure their children wore these charms, wrapping them in love and reassurance as they sent them off to sleep, hoping to shield them from any nightmares that might arise. On particularly ominous nights, when the air felt thick with tension, the villagers would gather for a communal ritual. They would light a large bonfire in the center of the village, its flames reaching high into the night sky. The fire crackled and popped, sending sparks swirling upwards like whispers to the heavens. As the villagers circled the fire, they shared stories of courage, recounting tales of their ancestors who had faced the darkness and triumphed. Laughter mixed with tears, creating a powerful tapestry of emotion that bound them together, making them stronger against the threats that loomed outside their homes. As the night deepened, the elders would lead the group in chants, their voices rising and falling like the waves of the ocean. The rhythmic sound echoed through the valley, calling upon the spirits of the land to lend their strength. With each chant, the villagers felt a surge of energy, a protective barrier forming around them. They believed that the flames of the bonfire would keep the evil creatures at bay, their light cutting through the dark like a sword of hope. In some villages, there was a tradition of creating a protective circle around the home. Families would gather twigs, stones, and herbs, forming a boundary that separated their sacred space from the darkness beyond. As they built the circle, they would chant prayers, their voices weaving a protective shield that wrapped around their home. They believed that as long as the circle remained unbroken, no evil could enter. In one village, there lived an old woman named Mara, known for her deep wisdom and connection to the spirit world. Many sought her guidance, especially when fear seeped into their hearts. On the eve of important festivals, she would gather the children around her, sharing stories of bravery and resilience. Her voice, soft yet powerful, carried the weight of generations, and the children listened with wide eyes, captivated by her words. "Listen well, my dear ones," she would say, "darkness may come, but remember, we are never alone. Our ancestors stand beside us, their spirits guiding us through the night." Mara taught them how to craft protective charms from twigs and herbs, guiding their tiny hands with care. As they worked, they shared their hopes and dreams, each charm infused with the love and laughter of childhood. The children felt empowered, knowing that they could play a part in keeping their homes safe. As the children grew older, they carried the lessons of Mara within them. They would recount her stories to their own children, passing down the rituals that had protected them through generations. Each night, they would hang garlic, weave charms, and light candles, creating a sacred space filled with love and light. And when the darkness threatened to invade, they would gather around the bonfire, their hearts beating as one. Together, they would chant and sing, their voices soaring into the night, defying the Strigoi and moroi that sought to instill fear. The flames flickered and danced, a powerful reminder that they were not alone. They stood united against the forces of darkness. In time, the villagers learned to find strength in their rituals, embracing the power of community and love. They understood that the darkness might always exist, lurking in the shadows, but so too did their resilience. Each ritual served as a reminder that they could protect their homes and loved ones, crafting a barrier against the fears that sought to unravel them. The children, with their protective charms clutched tightly in their hands, would drift off to sleep, lulled by the warmth of their families and the knowledge that love surrounded them. In their dreams, they walked alongside their ancestors, their hearts filled with courage and hope. And as dawn broke over the hills, spilling golden light across the pastures, the villagers awoke to a new day, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They understood that the rituals they practiced were not merely acts of superstition, they were expressions of love, connection, and strength, binding them to the land and each other. With each sunrise, they carried the light of their ancestors within them, a flickering flame that would never be extinguished. No matter the darkness they faced, they would stand together, holding tightly to the traditions that had protected them for generations. They were more than mere villagers, they were a community, a family united in love, a force of light against the shadows that dared to creep into their lives. In a world where reality and fantasy intertwine, Romanian art and literature breathe life into mythical creatures, weaving tales that stir the heart and spark the imagination. These beings, born from ancient folklore, are more than just figments of creativity, they reflect the dreams, fears, and values of a culture rich in history. The stories of Zmeu, Strigoi, and other enchanting beings fill the pages of literature and dance across the canvases of artists, reminding us of a time when magic was real and the natural world held secrets waiting to be uncovered. As the sun sets behind the Carpathian Mountains, casting long shadows across the valleys, the tales of these mythical creatures come alive. In every corner of Romania, from the bustling streets of Bucharest to the quiet villages tucked away in the hills, the echoes of ancient stories linger in the air. Artists and writers have long been inspired by these legends, using their talents to portray the vibrant essence of these beings in their works. One cannot speak of Romanian mythology without mentioning the fearsome Zmeu, a dragon-like creature known for its strength and cunning. In literature, Zmeu often serve as antagonists, capturing beautiful maidens and challenging brave heroes. Yet, they are more than mere villains. They symbolize the struggle between good and evil, embodying the fears of a society facing the unknown. In tales told by fireside, children listen wide-eyed as their parents recount the heroic deeds of brave knights who fought against these formidable foes. Each story is a testament to courage, perseverance, and the belief that light can triumph over darkness. In the realm of art, the Zmeu takes on new forms, portrayed as both terrifying and majestic. Artists capture its fiery breath and mighty wings, creating powerful images that evoke a sense of wonder. These depictions are not just for show, they reflect the cultural values of bravery and resilience. Through the Zmeu, artists remind us that while the world can be frightening, the spirit of heroism can shine through even the darkest times. Then there are the Strigoi, spirits that haunt the night, often depicted in literature as restless souls seeking revenge or unfinished business. Their stories stir a deep sense of unease, tapping into the fear of death and the unknown. In the quiet hours of the night, when the wind rustles through the trees, the tales of Strigoi serve as cautionary tales, warning against the dangers of neglecting one's responsibilities or disrespecting the past. Artists have painted haunting portraits of Strigoi, capturing their ethereal beauty and sorrowful expressions. These artworks evoke feelings of empathy, making us reflect on the struggles of those lost in the shadows. In literature, the Strigoi story serves as a reminder that every life has a purpose, and unfinished business can linger long after one has departed. The emotional weight of these tales resonates with readers, inviting them to confront their own fears and contemplate the importance of connection and closure. Another mythical figure that weaves through Romanian culture is the mischievous Pricalisi, a werewolf-like creature known for its cunning and trickery. In stories passed down through generations, the Pricalisi embodies the unpredictable nature of life, reminding us that not everything is as it seems. These tales, often told with a hint of humor, celebrate the resilience of the human spirit. The Pricalisi may create chaos, but it also challenges characters to rise above their circumstances and find clever solutions to their problems. Artists have embraced the Pricalisi's playful spirit, crafting lively scenes that blend humor and darkness. These illustrations capture the essence of a culture that understands the balance of light and shadow, joy and sorrow. The Praekalasai reminds us that laughter can coexist with fear, and that sometimes the most important lessons come from unexpected places. The Sanziin, or fairies of Midsummer Night, represent beauty and grace in Romanian folklore. Their stories are filled with hope and love, often centered around themes of nature and the changing seasons. In literature, the Sanziin bring light and joy, reminding us of the beauty in the world and the power of love to conquer all obstacles. The imagery surrounding these fairies is enchanting, filled with fields of wildflowers and moonlit dances, evoking a sense of wonder and magic. Artists capture the essence of the Sanziin with vibrant colors and delicate brushstrokes, illustrating their ethereal beauty. These artworks invite viewers to step into a world where dreams come alive, where love blossoms, and where the impossible becomes possible. The tales of the Sanziin resonate deeply with the human experience, inspiring us to believe in the beauty of life and the transformative power of love. The influence of mythical creatures extends beyond folklore and art. They also shape the identity of the Romanian people. In their stories, there is a profound connection to the land, a celebration of nature, and a recognition of the complexities of existence. These tales remind us that we are all part of something greater, that our struggles and triumphs are echoed in the stories of those who came before us. In contemporary literature, these mythical beings continue to inspire new generations of writers. They serve as a bridge between the past and present, reminding us of our roots while encouraging us to forge new paths. The stories of Zmeu, Strigoi, Praekalasai, and Sanziin resonate with timeless themes of love, courage, and the eternal struggle between light and dark. As readers lose themselves in the pages of these tales, they find pieces of themselves reflected in the characters and creatures. The emotions evoked by these stories connect us to our shared humanity, transcending cultural boundaries and inviting us to reflect on our own experiences. In every tale, there is a lesson, a reminder that we are not alone in our journey through life. In the vibrant tapestry of Romanian art and literature, mythical creatures serve as symbols of hope, courage, and connection. They remind us that, even in the darkest moments, there is beauty to be found and strength to be gathered. Through their stories and images, we are invited to celebrate the richness of life, to embrace the magic that exists all around us, and to honor the traditions that shape our understanding of the world. In the quiet corners of Romania, where the echoes of ancient legends still resonate, the spirit of these mythical creatures lives on. They are not just figures of the past, they are part of the ongoing story of a people who continue to dream, create, and inspire. As long as there are stories to be told and hearts to be touched, the legacy of these beings will endure, lighting the way for generations to come. In the heart of Romania, stories whisper through the trees and echo across the hills, carrying the weight of history and the essence of a people. These tales, woven from threads of folklore, shape the very fabric of Romanian identity, binding generations together in a shared narrative. They are more than just stories, they are the lifeblood of a culture, breathing meaning into traditions, shaping beliefs, and connecting the past to the present. As the sun sets over the Carpathian Mountains, villagers gather around fires, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. The air is thick with anticipation as the eldest among them begins to recount the legends of old. These are not mere bedtime stories, they are the essence of who they are. Each tale carries the weight of their ancestors' struggles and triumphs, reminding them of their roots and the values that define them. In these stories, the Zmeu emerges as a powerful figure, a dragon-like creature representing the challenges faced by heroes and the eternal battle between good and evil. He embodies the fears of a society grappling with the unknown, a reminder that darkness exists but can be vanquished. When children hear these tales, they don't just listen, they feel a surge of bravery. They learn that within them lies the power to overcome, to fight for what is right, and to protect their loved ones. The Strigoi, with their haunting presence, weave a different narrative. These spirits serve as a reminder of the consequences of one's actions, a reflection of the cultural belief in the balance of life and death. The stories of Strigoi resonate deeply, teaching respect for the past and the importance of honoring those who have come before. When villagers perform rituals to appease these spirits, they do so not out of fear, but as a way to connect with their heritage and ensure harmony in their lives. Through tales of the Praekalasai, children learn about the unpredictable nature of life. The Praekalasai, both a trickster and a cautionary figure, illustrates that not everything is straightforward. Life can surprise you, and sometimes the most important lessons come from unexpected sources. The laughter and joy in these tales help families bond, creating shared memories that last a lifetime. They remind people that life is a mix of laughter and tears, and both are necessary for growth. The Sanziin, beautiful fairies of Midsummer Night, represent hope and love, filling hearts with warmth and joy. Their stories inspire festivals and celebrations, uniting communities in gratitude for the blessings of nature. When the summer sun shines brightly and flowers bloom, the celebrations become a reminder of the beauty that exists in the world. Families gather to dance and sing, honoring the magic of the season and their connection to the land. These moments forge bonds that transcend time, creating a tapestry of shared experiences that define what it means to be Romanian. These tales also play a crucial role in shaping the identity of modern Romania. As the country navigates the complexities of a changing world, the myths serve as a foundation, a touchstone that connects the present to a rich and vibrant past. When Romanians face challenges, they often look back to the stories of their ancestors for guidance. The courage of heroes, the wisdom of the wise, and the resilience of their people become a source of strength. In moments of doubt, they remember the battles fought and won in the tales, drawing inspiration to face their own struggles. The art inspired by these myths also reflects the heartbeat of the nation. Painters, sculptors, and writers capture the essence of these beings, immortalizing them in a way that speaks to the soul. The vibrant colors and intricate designs tell stories that resonate deeply, reminding everyone of the beauty and complexity of their culture. Each brushstroke carries the weight of history, weaving together the past and present in a harmonious dance. As Romania steps onto the world stage, its folklore becomes a unique voice that adds richness to the global narrative. The myths are shared with pride, allowing others to glimpse the heart of Romanian culture. Festivals celebrating these stories attract visitors from afar, creating connections that bridge cultures and foster understanding. Through this sharing, the Romanian identity becomes more than just a set of beliefs. It becomes a living, breathing testament to resilience, creativity, and unity. The influence of these myths extends beyond cultural expression. They shape beliefs about nature and the universe. The respect for the land, the reverence for the spirits that inhabit it, fosters a deep connection to the environment. This connection inspires generations to protect the beauty that surrounds them, to care for the earth, and to honor the traditions that have sustained them. The tales of the divine Myridics, guardians of the pastures, serve as a reminder of the bond between people and nature, reinforcing the importance of stewardship and gratitude. As the seasons change, so do the stories. New generations add their voices, weaving fresh narratives into the fabric of tradition. Yet, the core values remain unchanged: love, courage, respect, and unity. The myths adapt, reflecting the challenges of modern life while holding onto the wisdom of the past. This evolution is a testament to the strength of Romanian identity, proving that while the world may change, the essence of who they are will endure. In every corner of Romania, the echoes of these stories resonate. They remind people of their shared history, their cultural pride, and their responsibility to carry these tales forward. As the sun rises and sets, the tales continue to be told, passed from one generation to the next. Each story holds the power to inspire, to heal, and to connect, ensuring that the spirit of Romanian folklore remains a vibrant part of the nation's identity for years to come. The heart of Romania beats in rhythm with the stories of its mythical creatures and the enduring spirit of its people. As long as these tales are told, the legacy of a rich cultural heritage will flourish, reminding everyone that they are part of something greater, a living tapestry woven from dreams, struggles, and the timeless dance of life. In a world bustling with technology and rapid change, the age-old stories of Romanian mythology continue to pulse with life, resonating in the hearts of those who encounter them. These timeless tales, born from the rich soil of Romania's history, have found new expression in the modern world, captivating audiences far beyond the borders of the country. As they evolve, they retain their power, igniting a spark of wonder and connection to a cultural heritage that remains as vital today as it was centuries ago. In the shadows of busy streets, where the hum of daily life drowns out the whispers of old legends, young artists and storytellers are rediscovering the myths of their ancestors. The Zmeu, with his fierce strength, and the Strigoi, with their ghostly presence, leap off the pages of books and into the imagination of a new generation. Each retelling carries the weight of history while inviting fresh interpretations that speak to the hopes, fears, and dreams of contemporary society. In art galleries, stunning visual representations of these mythical beings draw in viewers. Paintings depict vibrant scenes filled with the lush landscapes of Romania, where the divine Mythics and mischievous Hult dance together under the light of a full moon. The colors seem to pulse with energy, inviting viewers to step closer and feel the heartbeat of a culture rich with stories. Artists pour their souls into these creations, reminding the world that the essence of these myths is not merely a relic of the past, but a living force that inspires creativity and beauty. Filmmakers, too, are embracing the allure of Romanian mythology. Movies inspired by these ancient tales transport audiences to magical realms where anything is possible. The stories of the Sanzieni and their enchanting midsummer festivities become a backdrop for tales of love and bravery, while the haunting presence of the Pricolici serves as a metaphor for the struggles faced by many in today's world. These films remind viewers that the themes of courage, sacrifice, and redemption are universal, echoing through time and space, touching hearts wherever they are seen. Music also plays a pivotal role in this resurgence of interest. Folk singers and contemporary musicians are infusing traditional melodies with modern rhythms, creating a sound that resonates with both the old and the new. Songs about the mysterious Muma Padurii, the Witch of the Woods, weave tales of caution and intrigue, while rhythms inspired by the playful Vantoe spirits fill dance floors across the globe. This blend of styles captures the essence of Romanian culture, showcasing its depth while inviting others to join in the celebration. Social media has become a powerful platform for sharing these stories. Young people, inspired by their heritage, create videos and art that highlight the rich tapestry of Romanian folklore. Hashtags celebrating mythical creatures gain traction as stories are shared across borders, reaching audiences who may have never encountered them before. The digital age allows these ancient tales to travel further than ever, connecting people through shared stories and experiences. In this modern world, the influence of Romanian mythology can also be seen in literature. Writers are reimagining these stories, crafting novels that explore the nuances of character and theme while remaining true to the essence of the myths. Readers are drawn to these narratives, captivated by the interplay of the familiar and the unknown. They find comfort in the timeless messages that resonate through the ages, reminding them that they are not alone in their struggles and joys. As these myths spread globally, they begin to intertwine with other cultures, creating a rich tapestry of shared stories. In festivals and celebrations around the world, Romanian folklore finds its place alongside other traditions, fostering a sense of unity and understanding. People from different backgrounds gather to celebrate the beauty of diversity, sharing their own stories while embracing the magic of Romania's mythical creatures. In many ways, the modern interpretations of Romanian mythology serve as a bridge between generations. Elders share their knowledge and wisdom with the youth, who infuse the tales with contemporary relevance. This exchange fosters a sense of pride in cultural heritage, encouraging young people to honor their roots while looking to the future. In homes across Romania, families gather to share stories, blending the past with the present, creating new memories that will be passed down through the years. As the myths continue to evolve, they remain a source of strength and inspiration for those who carry them forward. In times of uncertainty, people turn to these stories for comfort, finding solace in the knowledge that the struggles faced by their ancestors are echoed in their own lives. The stories of triumph over adversity become beacons of hope, lighting the way for those navigating the complexities of modern existence. The modern world may be different from the one where these myths originated, but their essence endures. They remind us of our shared humanity, of the dreams and fears that connect us all. As people from different cultures engage with Romanian mythology, they discover pieces of themselves within these tales, forging connections that transcend language and borders. In every corner of the globe, the heartbeat of Romanian mythology echoes. It whispers through the pages of books, dances in the melodies of songs, and shines brightly in the vibrant art that captures the imagination. As these stories are told and retold, they breathe life into the past, ensuring that the spirit of Romanian folklore remains a vibrant part of the modern world. With each new interpretation, the stories grow richer, revealing new layers of meaning and emotion. They are not confined to the pages of history, they are alive, evolving, and waiting to be discovered by those who seek the magic within them. The myths of Romania are a testament to the power of storytelling, reminding us that we are all part of a larger narrative, woven together by the threads of culture, tradition, and shared experience.